understand that I don't wanna play your game.
The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, September 3rd, 2021. This is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Welcome to the show. Friday night fights tonight. Should be a good time. Everybody in the Discord sounds fired up, so we'll see how it goes. I heard some new voices in there, which is nice to hear. Let's see who we got in chat. Ian Adams, what's up? Ian PJ Cruikshank. Cleary, what's up, man? Will Gaston, Askin Receive. And you guys have been busy. Busy chatting. Page 42. What's up, Page? Alexander Lightwater, Bill G. Anthony Burrows, Mike Dornan. Good Servant. Hey, Good Servant. And page 42 was first tonight. Nice job, Page. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go in Discord.
So now I go to the Georgia State University website. I find the guy who's the author of the page. I have two interactions with him where he immediately responds to me. Boom, boom, response. The minute I put up my hypothesis, nothing. 2 weeks, nothing.
Yeah, because he knows you're a quack.
Right, so good, right. So where am I going to get published, you penis head? Where am I going to get published?
You're not. You see, this is the polite way of them telling you that you're full of shit.
No, it's the polite way that's demonstrating to you that you can't question science. You can't do it. Like, he didn't even ask me, like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Like, nothing, right? Nothing. You can't question science, gentlemen. You can't. Just like I got kicked out of Christianity because I started questioning the text. Oh, you can't mess with church history. Can't mess with the theologians. Who are you, Travis? Are you trying to tell us you're smarter than John Calvin? You're smarter than John Wesley? You're smarter than all these guys? You? Yeah, I'm questioning the text. Well, are you saying that the Bible doesn't say this? I'm like, well, let's discuss the text. Oh, no, John Calvin said, no, let's discuss the text. The theologians do not want to touch the text. Why? Because if they had to mess with the empirical data, they'd get fucked, just like you guys.
Can we see your hypothesis?
Bro, my hypothesis is up on my channel all over the place.
Right,
I'm gonna go. Okay, I've done it. I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
If it's just a link, then yeah, can you link that?
What's up, guys? It's Friday night. Show's live on YouTube. How's everybody doing tonight?
Make like a one-sentence summary of it, if possible. What would that be?
I should probably take myself off mute.
My most recent and I think most profound theory is that the image of an inferior mirage is not a vertical image. It is along the x-axis.
What's up, everybody? We're live on YouTube. And Travis's channel is called The Plain Truth. Lots of good workout on there. Lots of good observations. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Tonight's Friday night fights. Please try to minimize the interrupting, over talking, and share the mic with others on the panel. And have some fun tonight.
I just want you to know, I didn't mute Paid.
I saw that. That was impressive restraint there.
He interrupted your intro. You telling people not to interrupt.
Oh, no. I thought I waited until he was done saying something. Sorry.
No, that's all right. No, I was done. I asked how you guys were doing. That's good.
Okay. So then whoever was asking me about my hypothesis, I just put the video in the link in the chat.
I heard you talking about people being science deniers, or not being able the ability to question science. And I don't know about you, but I think I've been called a science denier. I don't know, thousands of times, probably.
Hundreds at least.
At least. And it's weird because I don't know, there seems to be a global technocracy in the work, and they seem to be framing it as an unquestionable authority. Now that scares me. That should scare everybody.
Even though you can never prove things with it, which is also weird that they have this. What do they call it? Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. And then the fact that we, catch people lying or they're wrong or whatever. We have a history of doctors and scientists proclaiming that something must be true and it turns out to be completely false. Yet
Name
it's some
one doctor
unquestionable
lie.
authority. I don't get it. Why would you want to support a system where you can't question the people who we give power and authority to? Paid NASA shill.
Oh, you
Why
can
would you want to do
question
that?
it. You can question it. You can even throw the whole system. You could topple the whole system tomorrow if you had some data, if you had some real data. If you could prove today that the Earth was flat, you would have everybody being flat earthers tomorrow.
We all have the same data, paid NASA shill.
Yeah,
It's
but
all
you
about
just
the
interpreted it
interpretation
different.
and how you back up your assumptions,
Like I said,
presuppositions.
you just. Oh no, I mean you would come up with some real flat Earth data. I mean some real.
We have
data.
plenty of real
No,
flat
you
Earth
don't.
data.
Sorry, you don't.
Yeah, we
Nothing you
do
want.
actually. I mean, are you going to sit
Nothing
there
you
and
want.
deny that every building that's built, all local surveys
Local,
are
We also
based
have a
on
human
level
who-
equaling horizontal?
local. Thank you very much.
We also have a human whose name
Yeah, that's
is
where
Flat Earth
everything's
Data.
built, paid NASA shill. Everything that matters.
No,
Like,
Yeah, there's
actually,
only one.
airports,
NASA show. If the Earth was actually round, there'd
schools.
be no flat earthers.
Yeah, when you start building things really big though, like the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, then you have to start accounting for it actually. But
Do you?
The
No,
bunch of
we've
train.
never had
That's
no
such bullshit. That is such bullshit, man.
it is.
The bunch of train
It is.
breed.
Then how
There's
come?
only one flat
Why are
Earth
you
data,
lying,
though.
kid?
How come? Okay, data about the flat Earth. Then I won't say flat Earth data again. Data about the flat Earth. How's that better?
Is paid NASA
Yeah.
shill low for anyone else, or is it me?
Milo, I just have a new mic. Hold on.
I
one
think
second.
I
he's a
wouldn't have.
monkey.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
even have told him.
I
though.
can't hear him. You
Shit,
might as well
wouldn't
just
have told
mute him. You might as well just mute him. I can't hear him at all.
Hold on, I got a new mic.
I
Get your
muted people
AirPods
for
up.
fucked up
No,
mics.
you're-
We'd have like half the panel gone.
Oh, Leaky
No,
would
don't
never
worry.
be able
You
to
sound
talk.
good enough.
I like what Joby said though about if the Earth was
I
a.
know.
No, it's absolutely worse. But I like what Joby said about if the Earth was actually a globe, there wouldn't be flat earthers because it'd be evident.
It is evident.
No doubt.
People accept
Thank
people
you.
like
Exactly.
It's amazing that we're
That was
supposed to
a-
live on this giant ball and it's not self-evident. Like the fact that we can even question it and look for years and years for solid evidence is
What more
kind of
evidence do you
remarkable.
guys need? I mean, what more evidence do you guys really need?
Whenever we dig into one area of your globe model
Yeah.
and look to check it against reality, every single time I've done that, I've found that the claims that you're making are based on presuppositions, assumptions that you can't support.
Like the pictures from space.
NASA, give me a crumb of evidence.
Pictures from space.
So
How
celestial
do we
pole.
know? How do we know that they're from space?
We can't validate those pictures at all.
Okay, so
Lunar eclipse.
Do you want us to believe the
Lunar
third party?
Wait,
or
wait,
how do we
wait,
know they're from space?
I think we should just have these two
You
talk. Just
want
have
us to
these
go
two
off
talk.
faith?
We got
Go ahead.
somebody new. We got somebody new challenging Paid. I think everybody else should go on mute and just let these
no,
two.
it's just Bon Povey.
Go ahead, Joby.
Your mic's
No, I'm
still
not
low.
I'm not really new, but I was just asking him how can we validate that they're from space?
Yeah, I'm not talking to Povey.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Joby's not new.
Penis is a bitch.
Povey's not new. You said
No,
he was new.
Joby's
Povey is
not
definitely
new.
not
He's
new.
new to,
No, I'm
he's
not
to
new.
me.
I mean, I'm new in here. I don't really talk in here that
Povey and
often.
I know
He's
Povey
new
from a
to
long
me.
time ago.
They could,
He's
they
new
could
to
paint
me.
them.
I know Bon
Yeah,
Povey.
you won't talk to him.
I know Bon Povey
Yeah,
from a long time ago. He's not a flat earther. He's just a Poe.
Yeah. Penis.
Look at that, more baseless claims.
Yeah,
You're a Poe, paid
you
NASA
won't-
show.
I'm not a pro. No,
You are.
The Earth is
won't-
really.
You're real
Talk-
stupid.
No,
Travis,
no,
you're
no.
lagging.
That's not bad, actually. That wasn't bad. I have to admit that one. wasn't bad.
Travis,
Shut
you're
the
still
hell up.
lagging,
I
bro.
know.
You're ruining the whole show, Travis.
That wasn't bad, actually, Jeremy. I'll give you one.
Jeremy, shut up. I'm on
You're
mute,
hot
bro.
micing. Now you're hot micing.
That wasn't bad. I'll give you that.
Oh shit. Dan the Waterman says, church at one time was the media of the day. Today you must decide for yourself. Scientific theories, conspiracy facts. Exclamation
Well,
point.
Before the
Thanks, Dan.
government, before the government and science gained control, it was the church that had the sway over the people, and the church would, influence people to do this or do that. Nowadays, it's not. It's the government and the science, the pseudoscience that they're running around with, swaying the minds of people.
Yeah, they've fulfilled
Scientism
that
is the new
same
religion.
function for those in power that the church used to fulfill.
And do you remember? You remember how all these crazy, the Big Bang Theory, LeMaitre or whatever his name was. Some of this shit came from these religious people because they say, hey, we'll get them both ways. We'll get them with the religion, or if not, we'll get them this way.
That's pretty ingenious. Newton was hyper religious. A lot of his contemporaries.
Amazing, isn't it? Like
He was an end times. He was into end times prophecies. He was actually
Yeah,
prophesizing the end times. If you go out and read his documents, he thought it was going to be like 2040 or something, 2060. One of those. What do you
What, did
think?
you
Are
think
you
the Earth
down
was
with
gonna blow up?
his end times prophecies, Spade Nessa Shill?
I haven't paid much attention to some of his other stuff. He was a pretty strange dude at times. He also invented calculus, so I was self-isolating from a pandemic. But
Yeah, his
Yeah, so
calculus
he
and his
invented
physics were about
calculus.
supporting his occult.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Can I ask Paid Master Shill a question, Brandon?
Yeah, go for it.
Is a cube a three-dimensional object?
cube
Hey,
is a
that's-
three-dimensional object. A cube is a three-dimensional object. That's correct.
Okay, let me finish. That's a quick answer. Good job. Is the surface of that cube
That's a two-dimensional.
three-dimensional?
That's two-dimensional.
Right. Because you can turn them planar, right? Each face
What are the units of
Yeah.
surface area?
dimensional shape, right?
Talk that shit, Rob. Talk that shit.
What are the units of
Now,
surface area?
Okay.
No red herrings. No red
Hold on,
herrings.
not-
I'm
no,
not
it's
done
just
my
a red
line of
herring.
questioning.
Not a
I'm
red
not-
herring
Yeah,
at
it
all.
is. Shut up.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
No,
Listen,
it's not.
you're
Just because
the
you
one-
say it's
shut
a
up,
red
Venus,
herring.
You're not the one interrogating.
Oh, let
Just
Rob
Shut up.
because you
Let
say it's a
Rob-
red herring
Rob was-
doesn't make it a red herring.
Rob was asking you a question.
Yeah,
You don't ask
the
questions.
cube-
Shut up,
The
Dave.
cube, being a three-dimensional object, has 6 two-dimensional sides, right? How many two-dimensional surfaces does a sphere have?
One.
And is that two-dimensional?
Yep.
How is that two-dimensional when the object is three-dimensional? And it only has one surface, not
Is a
6.
cube three-dimensional?
Cube has
That was
6.
good strategy,
surfaces.
Rob. I like that.
So
you
how about
could
a
depict it
how
as
about a
6
dodecahedron?
surfaces.
How about a
How
dodecahedron?
many surfaces?
No,
That was-
no
Rob, that
red
was-
herrings.
No,
What
I'll
about a
great.
disco ball?
No, you guys. I'll let them.
No,
I'll let him have his
Listen,
disco ball.
kick Pate out of here.
No,
What about a
no,
disco
Pate
ball?
out.
No. Let Rob handle him. He's got it. He's got it. Go ahead.
What about
How
disco
many
ball?
surfaces does that disco ball have?
Lots, many.
Many. How many surfaces does the sphere have? One.
One. You
On
see,
a
you understand
three-dimensional
calculus? Do you understand calculus?
On a three-dimensional object.
Do you understand calculus?
Therefore, the surface of a sphere is three-dimensional.
No, it's
Thank you,
two-dimensional.
Pastor Shill.
It's two-dimensional. Do you understand calculus?
Rob, that was great. Not
It's
gonna
bullshit, though.
No,
Well,
that was good.
acknowledge
I-
at least, Paid Nessa Shill, that there is a distinction between a sphere and a cube in that way that Rob
Yeah,
is
it's just-
describing. That
You
a
just-
cube does have two-dimensional planar surfaces, and a sphere does
disco ball?
not have two-dimensional planar
Actually, it does.
surfaces. Can you at least acknowledge that much?
Said it
Well, actually,
does.
it does. It's actually it does. If you go to the limit, you just increase the number of surfaces, and the number
What
of
limit?
surfaces goes
Oh, well,
infinite.
hold on a minute. A sphere has two-dimensional planar surfaces, Paid Nessashill.
Surface.
Wow, bro.
It's the
Wow.
It
limit.
has
No,
a
come on.
one
So you keep
two-dimensional planar surface.
So wait a minute. So you admit that a sphere is two-dimensional surface. You meant a
No.
disco ball
Answer my
is
question. Are
two-dimensional.
you saying, because I want to make sure that I'm clear on what you're claiming here. Are you claiming that a sphere has one two-dimensional planar surface?
Yes.
Are you fucking on acid?
No. Are you?
Explain yourself.
Do you not understand calculus? Obviously.
Yeah, might as well kick
Of course,
him now.
it's my misunderstanding. Of course,
It is. Yes.
what am I misunderstanding?
Get the flat Earth denier out of here.
That as you increase the number of surfaces from like a cube to a dodecahedron to a disco ball, and you keep increasing the number of surfaces, you run into a limit.
All of those
Yeah.
have planar surfaces.
sphere only has
What you're
one-
describing is
Yeah.
Oh
shapes.
God.
No matter how
You
many
don't-
they
okay.
have, all have planar
Don't do
surfaces.
All right.
this.
All right. I'm not going to talk to you guys anymore. You don't
Surfaces.
understand calculus.
Thank
All right.
you. Praise
You've
God.
been hold
what
on,
about-
Travis. Fuck, man.
Amen.
I haven't been denied. All I've showed Travis is
Travis, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Travis is
Let him say
apparently
stupid shit.
celebrating
Entertaining.
over his so-called victory when he doesn't understand the math.
And then now you're gonna say you don't understand the math. You're gonna throw
That's
red
correct.
herring
You don't understand the
questions
math.
out. You're
Not a
gonna
red herring
accuse me of not understanding
about-
calculus.
Yeah, I know, Power.
You're
That's
the one who
correct.
thinks that a sphere has one planar surface.
One.
So it's the same
two-dimensional
thing. You know what else
surface.
has one planar surface?
One two-dimensional
A plane.
surface. Not, it's,
So you're saying there's
one-
no difference between a
no,
sphere
no,
and
when
a
you say it's
plane.
planar, when you say it's planar, that might not be. I said it's one two-dimensional surface.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any point on a sphere can be defined with two dimensions.
Not only that,
No
what is
shit. That goes for
Surface-
anything. Any point
No.
can be defined.
No. A point in
Really?
three-dimensional.
Tell me an
space has to be
object.
defined.
Tell me how the point on a sphere differs from the point anywhere else in reality.
Coordinates.
I'll
We're
tell you how
talking
it's
about a
different.
single
The
point.
Latitude,
What's the
longitude.
difference
That
between
has
a
zero
point on a
dimensions.
sphere and a point on a plane?
If you're talking about points, that has no dimensions.
Or a point on a dog, right? What's the difference? Point anywhere. A point's a point. So you've said nothing. That's my point. What I'm saying. These questions I'm asking. You've just said nothing.
You got nothing. Listen, they lose this argument. A sphere
No, we
is,
don't.
is
Sorry.
the surface of a sphere is a three-dimensional.
No,
thing.
it isn't. It is not. Sorry.
It is.
It isn't though.
It isn't by definition. I mean, you can say it is all you want to, but it's not true.
Well,
Whose
there-
definition?
All right, Brandon. I
think I can help. Yes. Okay. Define what two dimensions is and define what three dimensions is.
Latitude, longitude.
No, I
Two
would say if you can put something onto a 2D plane, then we have two dimensions. As soon as something comes up off of that plane, you've now added the third dimension, which would be height. You know, you have length, width on the plane, and then if it comes up or below, you now have the third dimension you've introduced. You can't put the surface of a sphere onto that plane because it has infinite curvature from every point. So it'll
But the
always.
latitude, but the latitude, longitude will define a point regardless of its elevation. That's just a consequence of its position.
Hey, Jeremy,
Why, they have
the most
more
basic
dimensions.
question. The most basic question is how many dimensions do you need to find the surface area? If you wanted to find the surface area of a
Well,
sphere, how many dimensions? do you
Yeah, don't
This-
fall
this
for this
sounds
banana
fun,
in the
but-
tailpipe trick.
If you have something-
you want to fall on this sword too?
If you, yeah, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
What? The surface of a sphere being two dimensions? All I need is two dimensions to determine the surface.
Two-dimensional. The object is three-dimensional.
They
Yeah,
also
yeah,
admit they
That's
also
the-
admit that surface area is measured in units squared, but they can't see that it's a
How do
two-dimensional.
you measure the surface of a sphere?
Listen, paid.
four-thirds
He was
pi r
talking. He
squared?
was talking. Paid. He wasn't talking to you, bro.
Can
Shut
we
up.
acknowledge that?
Saying that
Can
it's
everyone
a squared
acknowledge
function
that
to
if
find the
something comes
area,
up off
and
the
then saying
surface
it's two
of
dimensions.
of a plane? Hold on. Can everyone acknowledge that if you have something on a plane taking up width and length, and then something comes up off of that plane, that it's now has a third dimension to it?
Correct. Yes.
Does
Now,
everyone understand that?
three dimensions. Yes.
Okay. Now you realize you can't put the surface of the sphere on this 2D plane, right?
You can, but there will be distortion. But you can.
So it's not going to be a sphere. So it won't be a sphere.
Jesus
No, when you're
Christ.
changing the surface of a
What the
sphere to
fuck?
a 2D plane, you're obviously changing the orientation of that. But you're still only talking about 2 dimensions.
No, you can't put it on the surface. You can't put it on the plane because you're distorting it. You have to distort it.
Right.
You
right,
can't
but
put it
you
on the
can
plane.
still
Once
put-
you distort
can
it,
still make it a 2D plane.
once you distort it, you no longer have the surface of a sphere. You have the surface of something
Yes.
else.
No, you do. You have a 2D plane representation of the surface of a sphere because it's distorted. It's not impossible. It's not illogical.
It is
That's
impossible. It's called a
it's still a 2D
non-developable
plane.
surface. It actually is impossible. It's called a non-developable surface.
Correct. You can't do it without.
No shit, I'm
distortion.
correct.
Correct. No one.
You're
would-
wrong. Acknowledge that you're wrong.
No. Because there's a difference between
the fuck?
2D with distortion and then 3D. There's a difference between that. When you're talking about the surface of a sphere, you're only required 2 dimensions. That's what makes it 2-dimensional, Jeremy.
No,
Yep.
things being able to be put on a 2D plane will make them 2-dimensional. Like I said, once
Right,
you come
and
up
you
off
can.
of the plane, you now have a 3rd dimension. You agreed to this.
No, yeah, and you can.
That's
As
part
you
of the
just
problem.
said, it's undevelopable. That's why there's distortion, but you still can put it on a 2D plane.
Okay, I think I know what the problem is here. You're trying to measure the surface in one scenario, but you're actually, a sphere is not one-dimensional. You're trying to measure it, and you have to do it one-dimensional or 2-dimensionally.
Yes,
That's very different.
The surface
Right.
would be 2-dimensional, correct.
No, the way you're measuring it has to be 2-dimensional. But it's not truly 2-dimensional.
No. The object can be 3-dimensional. That's fine. We don't disagree. The object can be 3-dimensional, but the surface is 2-dimensional. The same exact way we would describe a cube. A cube is a 3-dimensional object, but the surface of one of its faces is 2-dimensional.
Were you not here for the
Surface
conversation
of
with Paid NASA
the
Shill,
sphere.
or
It's the same arguments back
No,
and
I
forth.
think
It's just that
Biodual wants to fall on this sword too.
Who wants to fall on the sword?
Biodual?
Yeah, just like Paid NASA Shill fell on the sword of a 3-dimensional sphere.
It's very
The
simple. If you
surface
can
has to
describe
be
a surface
3-dimensional.
with 2
Oh,
coordinates, it's
so you
2-dimensional.
too? You fucking retard.
If you can describe every part of the surface with 2 dimensions, it's 2-dimensional.
Even though it's taking up 3 dimensions because it's come up off the 2D plane.
Correct.
Right?
What do you mean correct?
It is a surface. It only has 2 dimensions. The coordinates you require to know where you are on that surface only requires 2 dimensions.
Tell me
Therefore,
about these coordinates.
It is 2 dimensions.
Tell me what you mean by this.
Well, you can describe it with latitude and longitude. You can describe every point on the surface of the Earth with just 2 coordinates, latitude and longitude. On a basketball, for instance, anything.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let me finish.
How
Just
do you
2 coordinates. You can describe
the elevation
every point you
of
can put
that
your finger.
sphere?
Hold on, every point you can put your finger
Yeah.
on the basketball.
How do you
I can
measure
give you
the
just 2.
elevation
I can just
off
give you
of
2.
that
I
sphere?
can
Hold on,
just
Rob.
give you 2 coordinates, and it will map to that point. Finished.
What's the elevation of that coordinate?
It doesn't have one. That's the whole point about being 2-dimensional.
You need to have one because
That's
Earth
not
has
3-dimensional. An
elevation.
elevation
you
requires
idiot.
an extra dimension. Is it doesn't have that. That's why it's 2-dimensional.
But your
Okay,
the surface
wasn't
of your
longitude
sphere
and
has
latitude determined by the sun?
What the hell was that comment?
Wasn't longitude and latitude determined by the sun?
Absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the sun. Who said that idiotic comment?
I just asking. It's a question. So,
Well, it's a
how do they
stupid
determine
one.
longitude and latitude?
Hey, Rumpus, you're about to
Okay,
get
on the
kicked.
surface of
Keep
the
up your
sphere,
shit.
How did
I
you
mean, yeah, but that
how
has to
did
be
you
one of the
determine
most
longitude and
stupid
latitude?
questions.
I don't care
I mean,
how
how
stupid
did
you
they-
think it is.
no.
Shut the fuck up. Go ahead. Sorry.
How did you determine longitude and latitude on the sphere?
Well, we can determine where what the latitude is because the sphere rotates, and therefore we can determine where the top, where the axis goes through. We can define that.
Stutter.
Well, I'm having to explain to you, John. I'm having to work out how to explain something that's moderately complicated to someone who's an idiot.
Oh, okay, meeting. I'm done. The ad hominem
I
for
know,
asking the
right?
question. I'm done.
Right?
He
I-
can't
ad hominem for-
say a
Well, I have to agree,
sentence.
that
He
was a
can't
pretty
have a
s-
conversation
I'm
with
done.
someone
was a
without
pretty-
throwing that in because he's got an inferiority complex of some kind.
Yeah,
No, that
that's
was
it,
a
Brandon.
pretty. What's the word that you want to say? That was a pretty. I can't skip a word. Then I mean, the question did not make any sense. Sorry.
Well, then I clarified
Sure
the
it did.
question.
It
then
was
shut up.
asking what the basis is for longitude. and
I
latitude.
understood the question.
Yeah, it was a simple question.
Well,
And the meridian absolutely comes from being able to track what the movement of the stars and the sun. Are you denying that?
Well, they allow you to look to recognize where you are. So, for instance, we can say that this particular star or something, when we go round, when the Earth rotates, that's 24 hours later, when we're looking straight up, for instance, you're looking at the same star. So that sort of that helps you, because the only way for instance, if you're in a car and you were going along when the windows were closed, you wouldn't know what you were doing. But if you can see the outside, you'll reference your position with respect to the things that you can see. So you could argue that, yes, the stars help to fix where you're looking at, otherwise you wouldn't know. But you could do the same with the gyroscope. You could say with a gyroscope, you would know when you've come back to the same point. But if you
We're talking
that
about
requires
longitude.
something
This has nothing
the
to do
stars
with
make it
stars.
easier. The stars do make it easier, I agree, but you don't need them to determine that you're pointing in the same direction again, and you've been rotating.
When were
My
the
point,
latitude?
Rumpus, is
Go ahead.
where did the longitude and latitude ideas come from?
Well,
How
because
do they determine?
well, we know we're on a
Where?
sphere, and therefore they know that
Step one.
we know where we're on the equator. You can see where
That's taking the question at the moment. They didn't know
Well,
that.
it's
They
not.
didn't know the. They didn't know
Well,
when
they-
they created longitude and latitude. Was that when they had the?
when they
knew the Earth
invented
was-
latitude and longitude, they knew they were on a sphere.
Okay, cite your source, please, Rumpus.
Well, I don't have one right off the top of my head, but it's
Well, then cite your source. Right now, it's a basis assertion.
the astrolabe.
You're never going to get a citation from Rumpus, Paul.
I know.
I'm
I know.
providing information.
Measure latitude with a quadrant and astrolabe.
I mean, for instance, just a pole star. For instance, you can work out your latitude just by simply saying what's the angle from your horizontal to the pole star. So that determines your latitude there, and you know that when you the pole star. Hold on. Hold on. Let me finish my sentence. 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 Let me finish my sentence.
Address the question, Rumpus.
Let me finish my sentence. And so we know that, for instance, when we go over the equator, we can't see the pole star anymore. We can't see the axis of rotation, but we can see from the stars
and
that
address
we're rotating
the
around. So we know
question
that's
that was
the equation.
asked. We don't need a fucking lesson in longitude and latitude and the fucking
We are
pole
being
star.
asked
Just
about latitude and
answer
longitude.
the
That was the
goddamn question he
I
asked.
was.
I can
So
answer it to fact.
that you can determine you're at the equator when the axis that you can see, because you can see the stars rotating around an axis, and when you can no longer see that, you're at the point where that ceased to become visible. You know you've reached the equator of the Earth just from
So the equator
observation.
was set to the position of Polaris. Polaris, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Polaris set the datum lines.
Hold on a second.
The equator.
I'll answer it. Polaris set
Gleam,
the data lines.
At the equator, the pole star is horizontal.
Anyway, Gleam, go
So
ahead.
you're
You sound like
Yeah.
looking at it.
The actual datum points, the stones that are laid down to mark the actual longitude and latitudes, are based on Polaris. Now, originally, no, wait there. Shut up.
Absolute drivel. Absolutely
Shut
100%
up,
wrong.
Rumpus. I'm trying to get it out. Originally, it was Eratosthenes who invented the longitude and latitude. Done.
Nothing to do with
Okay, so now
Polaris.
that being said,
Nothing to do with Polaris.
Look it up, Rumpus. You're an idiot.
Nothing to do with Polaris. Polaris wasn't even at the North Pole, at the Celestial Pole in his time, you idiot.
You're a monk. I just said that he invented them, but it wasn't
You said it was based on
69
Polaris and he used
miles
Polaris.
per
Polaris
degree.
was not at the Celestial Pole at his
No,
time.
No,
My
listen, you
God.
idiot. Did they have the datum stones laid at his time, Rumpus?
I have no idea what you mean by datum stones.
Oh my
But
god!
the point is, you claimed that
Look up what a
Polaris was
datum
somehow
stone is, you
related.
idiot.
You claimed that Polaris was related to
It
his
is.
determination of the North Pole.
No,
Polaris
no,
was
you
not
didn't hear me
at the
right.
celestial
You were
North
panicking.
Pole
You were
when he
panicking.
said so.
You
So
did not hear me
so you got
right.
that
You did not hear
completely
me.
wrong.
No, not at all. I said the datum stones were laid by Polaris. He was the originator of the longitude and latitude, but it wasn't 69 miles per degree, you idiot. Listen
You
next
just said it
time
was
instead
laid
of
by Polaris.
panicking.
Hold on, you claiming that's a what are
I
you
said
saying?
the
Laid by Polaris.
stones. Look up datum stones
You
now,
said
please,
laid by
Brandon.
Polaris.
Brandon, pull up
By,
datum
you said
stones.
that
I'm
was
going
by
on mute. I've got kids
Aristarchus.
in
Who
bed
did you
and
claim
he's
it
a
was?
twat.
Aristarchus.
You're a twat.
You said it was
Fuck
by
off.
Polaris.
It was
Polaris was
Eratosthenes.
not at the.
When you look up the history of longitude and latitude, it says nothing about Polaris.
I
Absolutely nothing.
said the datum stones were laid based on Polaris.
What does it have to do with the
100%.
history?
Polaris was not the North Star at the time.
B-ball's here to clear everything up.
There was the longitude and latitude was not 60. Look up Eratosthenes' map and tell me if that looks like
How
69
could
degrees.
Eratosthenes have a map about Polaris when Polaris is not
Please
the
look it up.
celestial pole at his
It's nothing to
time?
do with Polaris. I've just
So
told
why
you
do you
that.
mention it?
Because it's the one that laid the datum stones, and you don't even know what a fucking datum stone
No, I
is.
don't know what these datum stones are.
Please
Something
pull
that's
it. Please
completely
pull it up,
irrelevant to the
Brandon.
argument.
No, it is the actual line marker for the fucking longitude and latitude crossover points. You knob.
What's up in the 1890s? What are you talking about?
I just want to say, I've never heard Gleam cuss this much.
My wife's going to be home any second. Travis, you've heard me pitch this Polaris thing all day. Can you pitch it to Rumpus, see what he's got?
Well, actually, my question didn't really get answered.
Travis, are you muting me all the time, you little wanker?
Go ahead and continue your
You're
question.
a little wanker.
Listen, I'm muting
You interrupt
because,
everybody, you demand
like right
attention,
now,
yet
right
the
now,
only
I
thing you
was
do is
just
you mute
talking.
anybody.
That's why I was muting you.
Little
because when
wanker.
Gleam was, okay, yeah, that's why I muted you. But
You're
I
a little
take you
wanker.
off. Listen, I took you off. Come on now.
Anyway, did you still want to ask Rumpus your question?
At least he took you off. I had Democ on mute for fucking 8 hours last night.
Rags to riches. Did you still want to ask him?
I don't think. Ultimately, I just think. Well, for one, I don't think Rumpus knows even how longitude and latitude came to be. Seems like somebody else had at least a better answer than he did. And then when I started asking about the stars, he did get rumpy. He did kind of trigger for some reason. And why you somebody asking a question, even though it might be malformed, that you're in your opinion, that you calling somebody an idiot for asking a question? If you're a teacher of people, holy crap! What kind of teacher are you if you're calling somebody an idiot? I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, fair enough. Does anybody else know the answer to how they were originally determined? Latitude.
Rumpus is a professional glober. He should know this, right?
You can argue that latitude was determined by Polaris. Longitude was not. Zero longitude was defined as going through Greenwich, England, for some odd reason.
The original one would actually pass through Alexandria and Rhodes, if you go back far enough.
Right, that was in the.
It must be really hard to try to talk.
But I would to try to drill down and answer your question. I would put our modern understanding in Ptolemy. He was the first one who actually used curved lines to describe the latitude longitude line.
You do know that you don't say the P, right? Silent, right?
Yeah.
Or do you say psychology?
I do actually. I also say Kanai.
You say Cuscetti.
I think I do have another question. Or not a question, but a comment. The fact that they use the stars to determine navigation, the longitude and latitude, you would think that was how they derived it, because that's how they use it. So that was the only point I got to make. Now, if you're using a star, which is out of the surface, which is in another dimension, the third dimension, I think that would kind of start to debunk this point, because we're using the stars to navigate, not a three-dimensional, not a two-dimensional, but three-dimensional.
You need to look at how you determine longitude and how the Royal Navy had a big contract to get a clock to determine longitude. Latitude is easy. Latitude goes by Polaris. Longitude is extremely difficult.
Well, the fact that you're using Polaris to determine something, is that the third dimension off the surface of a sphere?
Yeah, sure. That's one way. Yeah, sure. Many methodologies. That'd be one way.
Well, that was the original methodology, not just one of many,
Sure.
right?
Before satellites and GPS. You're right. Yeah.
Obviously, before satellites and GPS. That's what
Right.
we're talking
So
about. We're
the stars
talking
were
about
pretty
how it
effective.
came to be. I don't know why you want to bring satellites into GPS into this. Like, oh yeah,
Right, because there's many methodologies, and yeah, if you want to talk about the original ways, yeah, the star navigation was very effective and efficient. Sure.
So this is one of the original assumptions of the globe, then, isn't it?
I wouldn't say so much that it's an assumption of the globe. I think it's just an assumption of navigation on the surface of the Earth.
It was an observation.
Brendan, if you look in the general chat, mate, there's that citation for you that Rumpus don't know nothing about.
Probably because you called it a datum stone, which doesn't show up anywhere in this article.
And the U.S. Coast Guard was around a little bit after, I don't know, say, Eratosthenes.
They're set in stone. Are you mad?
1960.
I mean, yeah, it's a pretty pedantic way of describing it when it has a particular nomenclature attached to it.
Who cares?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, who cares?
Yep. Hey, wow, it says it's used in geodetic land surveying. That's nice.
So if this was one of the original assumptions, that the relationship between distance and altitude of Polaris, what's the right word? Declination? Elevation?
I think altitude's right.
Altitude of Polaris above the horizon should be trigonometric on a flat Earth. That is one of the base assumptions of the globe, right?
However, it
No,
doesn't
of a
work.
flat
Or I
Earth,
could say it a
it'd be
different way.
trigonometric.
That the relationship that we see between those two variables, the cause of Polaris dropping in altitude as we move away, is due to Earth curvature. Correct?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be an attribute. Sure.
No, that was an
The
assumption.
amount of drop.
No,
It's
It
the
would be
amount
an
of drop
attribute.
and the
No.
amount of distance.
Whether
If you
you assume it or
determined,
not,
if you
you're on a sphere,
determined
that's
the
an attribute.
shape based on that same assumption, right? That's what you're telling us. Eratosthenes,
Regardless
same
of an
guy.
assumption, the attribute of being on a sphere and using stars at a great distance, the attribute would be that it's falling to the horizon as you're moving away from it. That would be the attribute.
Linearly so.
Yeah.
So, how did he determine that this relationship was due to Earth curvature?
Probably basic observations, and that being an attribute of such a shape of Earth.
What base observations?
Particular degree measurements to it as he traveled.
But we already said that he's making an assumption that that relationship is due to the shape of the surface.
Right, because
Right.
if the Earth were flat, or if it were a sphere, if it were a cube, if it were any shape, there are particular attributes that would occur based on your observations. So you can make the assumption that we assume on a sphere this would happen. We assume on a flat Earth this would happen. That's the assumptions that are being made. The observations themselves are totally separate from your assumptions.
Great.
There's
Show
more
us how.
assumptions
So my
than that.
question
There's more
is,
assumptions
how
than
did you
that. They're
determine
also-
that that's what should happen on each shape? How did
Right.
you factor in
Critical-
optics
critical
and
thinking.
refraction and
Yeah.
perspective
So
into all that?
no citation. No citation. For
Critical thinking,
No,
critical
you
thinking,
sure.
and using your brain to
scale it
know
down.
if you're on a
You can
if you're
scale
on
it
a particular
down.
shape, you
Again,
would have
listen,
particular effects from that.
right. Yeah.
So
Our
Polaris sits on the
critical
pole?
our critical thinking doesn't arrive at that same conclusion.
It
So
should,
now we're-
because how do you get Polaris in multiple locations at the same time?
You're also
When does
assuming
that
how
happen?
the sky works and all your
Yeah, I
whole
know.
list
Chad
of
just says
assumptions.
nuh-uh. Chad's answer is just nuh-uh.
Well, your
Anything
whole
better
list
than
of
You
nuh-uh?
don't.
assumptions, you forgot. You're
You
assuming
get it from
sky
different
works.
perspectives. You just don't understand.
Is that what I
Perspective
said?
can take it from 90 degrees to straight above the horizon.
If you get a try to triangulate
Can a plane go
reflection-
from zenith to the horizon?
A plane is a little bit closer than the star, isn't it?
Oh, so there's a different perspective for planes, and then
Yeah.
there's
The
one for
farther
stars.
away
Star
the
perspective,
farther
planes
away
perspective.
an
Cool.
airplane, the farther away an airplane goes, the slower and slower it takes to get to the horizon.
Really?
Like refraction makes it go back up and go slower and slower. That's odd. That we see that
So
in reality.
refraction can make it look like it's 90 degrees at the 0 degrees at
No, you've
the
just
equator,
misunderstood it. I told
and
you,
90
you don't
degrees
understand
at
it. You
the
don't
North Pole.
understand it, mate. You need to look into it more.
Oh, I understand it. You don't. I understand it quite clearly. There's no
I've
way.
done the maths, mate.
Okay, yeah,
There's
so
no
let's
way
say
that
we've got a
Polaris can be in
star.
multiple. How is Polaris on multiple
But
poles
anyway,
at the same
Brandon,
time?
I've just
None
of that
happen.
I've just put the screenshot just to show that the Ordnance Survey
the same-
used datum
the Ordnance
stones, and I cannot believe that these globe earthers do not understand.
When was the
Says
Ordnance
it.
Survey put out?
In the United Kingdom, trig points are typically concrete pillars and were erected by the Ordnance Survey. The process of placing trig points on the top of prominent hills and mountains began in 1935 to assist in accurate retriangulation of Great Britain. So fuck you. Rumpus does not know what he's on about. I cannot believe he did not even know what it's rubbish. No, it's rubbish. He did not even know what one
nomenclature
is.
that you provided is an unknown term to Rumpus, and many others. It's an unknown term to me. And what you provided provides different nomenclature.
Right, like,
And
three
thanks
points. The other ones have survey markers.
Datum
Neither of those
stones. Datum stones.
In the way that you do. Yeah, everyone can work on a particular thing. Sure.
Have I
That's more
muted you?
effective
Have
way
I
of communication.
muted you yet? Have I muted you yet?
Oh, today no, I haven't chimed in that much.
Well, there you go. There you go. I'm a good boy.
Literally, though, you type in datum stone in Google, and there's 41 million results, and it starts off with benchmark surveying. What's the nomenclature? It says here horizontal marks that surveyors made in stone structures. What is the problem here? I don't get how dense you are to not be able to do that. And then the second one, benchmark locator on the Ordnance Survey. Exactly where I'm getting this from. Next one, benchmark or trig pillar. What's in a name? To do with the Ordnance.
How much longer are we going to
datum.
go on this? Because I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah. Well, you need to brush up on your knowledge before you start talking about shit.
I didn't talk about any of this shit. I'm speaking to the nomenclature issue that you have with it.
No, you're making a semantic issue out of an actual issue that is very deep, that you guys should know this off by hand.
All the nomenclatures of everything. Okay, got it, Gleam. I'll make a note of that.
Not at all, that there is stones laid down in Earth. You did not know that, even though Miles Davis, even though you may not have been around there, Miles Davis actually went up to Trapain Law, and there's one there. He's taken photographs on it.
Right, I understand that there's meridian stones going across Europe and England and shit like that. The datum stones that you're talking about, no, unaware.
By wind all the time, right? And it has to adjust.
Yep, the same way that you run a straight line, that the air around you is going to affect you as well, but you're making constant adjustments to keep straight.
Guess what? If I never get off the straight line, I never have to adjust.
Yeah, but you're never ever going to travel a perfectly straight line. You'll
That's
always
my
have
argument. Thank
you'll
you.
always have
Yes,
minor
I know.
adjustments, but you can still call it straight.
No,
When you're
but
driving
even though
your
it's not
car.
hard.
Lie about it is what you're saying. You can lie.
When you're
No.
driving your car, do you have to adjust the steering wheel slightly back and forth to stay in a lane, or can you just let it go?
Right. The better question would be, can you describe yourself going straight on a road, even though you're making constant adjustments the entire time?
That depends. Are you trying to use your driving on the road as proof for reality?
No,
'Cause if
it's
you are,
just
then
an
no, you
analogy.
can't do
It's an
that.
analogy of
You're
when
a
you can
liar.
use the word straight line, even though when you get down to the nanometer, that it's not perfectly straight, you could still call it a straight line.
Yeah, if you're a liar and you're
Well,
trying to use that to prove reality, sure you
Well,
can
when
do
you're
that. But if you're trying
when
to
you're
prove reality, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be a liar. You shouldn't say
You can use a particular error bar.
Sure, but you don't have an error. You don't know what the error bar is because you've never made this distance in a straight line to know what the error bar would even be or how much percentage you're off.
Exactly.
So long as you're maintaining your heading, you're traveling in a straight line.
Nope.
No.
You just said you weren't.
No.
Yep.
No, you just said you weren't. You just admitted it.
Nope,
So now,
nope,
are
you
you
are.
double talking?
So
Are
long
you
as you
lying?
maintain your
Which
heading,
one?
that's part of a straight and level flight. Straight and level flight is just maintaining a heading as well as maintaining an altitude, straight and level.
So
yeah, but that
straight
doesn't
isn't
always
straight is what
translate
I'm
to
hearing
straight
from
across
you.
the surface.
Yes, it does. If you're maintaining your
Not if you're following a line of latitude.
no, you're maintaining a heading. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you could be heading due east the whole time and still be turning in a circle.
Not your flight path. Your flight path would be straight.
Your flight path is straight, traveling due east forever.
Yes. As
So
far
when I,
as
so when I
as far
loop
as
back
navigation
onto
is
myself,
concerned,
I've
yes.
gone straight.
If your
What was
flight
that?
path was, go ahead. Go ahead. Who was?
If you're talking about a God's eye view and looking at the airplane, sure, the airplane is traveling in a circle in which it has to curve.
So reality.
To a certain
Right.
extent.
So I
But when
guess
we're-
I'm asking, like,
Oh,
what do
I
you mean
wasn't
by
even-
straight then? Straight with.
I wasn't even
reference
talking
to
about
what?
that.
Right, and that's
I
how
was
I
willing to
described
give
it.
him
Straight
the.
and level. Straight and level is maintaining a
I
heading.
was
That's your straight part, and then maintaining your altitude is your level part.
Yeah, I was willing to give
Straight
him
level
the
is not
straight.
straight.
I was willing to give him the straight curve line for this example because they can't do that either, so it doesn't matter if it's straight or curved straight, which is ridiculous. I can't believe I just said that.
Do you deviate
Curved
left to right?
straight. Your curved straight line.
Do you deviate left to right?
You are deviating. If you
deviate
deviate,
left
are
or
you
right?
going? If you deviate from straight, are you going straight?
If your reference is a surface of the Earth and you maintain an altitude and you maintain a heading, you are traveling straight and level.
This is why you guys like to bring us to the two-dimensional surface of a sphere.
No, this is why
I think it is.
it's important to state what your references are. If my reference is the surface of the Earth, maintaining a heading and your altitude, you are traveling straight. Yeah,
So we live in 3 dimensions, right?
of course, Jeremy.
All right. So if I change one of those directions, I wouldn't be going straight anymore, right? If I dip below one of the axes.
You could make the case that you're not traveling straight
No
anymore.
shit.
But
You
if
could
you're
make
talking
the
about
case.
if you're talking about
Unless you're talking-
the reference point being the surface of the Earth, then you are still traveling straight if you're maintaining a heading.
I know. That's why I was willing to give it to you guys, and just because you.
Just like if you're traveling around the
polar,
Earth, if you're traveling around the Earth and your reference is the moon, yeah, you're not traveling in a straight line. If your reference is the surface of the Earth, of course you're traveling straight.
See, the problem is that not all 3-dimensionals are XYZ.
Anything but reality.
Oh, what are they? X, Y, Z, and what?
You could have polar, which would be distance.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Polar.
What dimension is polar dimension?
Yeah.
Oh, how could I forget about
angle
that one?
distance.
What the
Angle,
fuck?
So you still have 3 dimensions there. You're just assigning one of the
I claim
dimensions.
non-claim.
But that would be in this case.
That's some different nomenclature.
Yeah.
You
It's
still
the
have
problem when you guys.
3 dimensions
But
there.
you
not
guys
the
are
polar-
losing
there we go. Now-
badly.
Now Chad's gonna make. No, you guys just don't.
Listen,
no,
no, you guys are
I shouldn't have brought
losing
that up
this.
because you guys don't have the background
Yeah,
for it. I'm
it's
sorry.
fine. You guys are
Yeah.
losing this debate badly. I
No,
just
we're
want to
not.
say.
We're
Big
not.
massive
out here.
show. The
You're
talking
surface
polar
of the
coordinates,
sphere
crushed
NASA.
only because you don't
three-dimensional.
understand it. I'm sorry.
Way to project your own inability
You got it,
to
Rob. Go ahead.
understand on us.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, my inability to tell
Way
you
to
anything.
project your own inability to understand the surface of a sphere is three-dimensional.
It's not
Can
though. What is?
can
What
someone
is?
find a source that
Object.
says the surface of a sphere is three-dimensional?
I
Okay,
don't-
can
Oh, you
someone
need
find
a
a source for
source
that?
to understand reality? Oh,
yeah,
that's
whatever.
pretty
You don't have a
bad.
source.
Theoretically or like
I'm
mathematically?
contending that. I'm contending that the surface of a sphere is three-dimensional or even higher dimensional. I'm saying that it's two-dimensional. I can find a
Three.
source for you
It is.
right now. I'm looking for a source that says otherwise.
Oh, what? Cartesian coordinates that have no elevation to them?
I'm talking.
Mm-hmm.
NASA told us earlier that I don't know if you're here or not, but the surface of a sphere has a planar point. What did he say? If you zoom in far enough, it's planar. The surface of a sphere, or something like that. Say it again, Paid.
Well, I have no idea what you like, other than the fact.
I like when you say dumb shit. So say the sentence you said
Oh,
earlier.
you like when I say dumb shit? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't
two-dimensional
understand.
surface. If I
Jeremy
recall.
doesn't understand much
Sorry,
about
hold on.
geometry.
Somebody remembered it. What did he say?
If I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was a single two-dimensional surface.
That's correct.
No, he
Or-
said
or
there's
it could be
planar
an-
points. He
or
said
it
there's
could be a
planar
could be an
points on the
infinite-
surface of a
I
sphere.
think someone else said planar, and he corrected it the second word to two-dimensional.
If
I don't
you
know.
you can either look at it as one surface or it has an infinite number of surfaces. Either
Planar
way.
is two-dimensional, by the way.
A
A plane is 2D.
Yeah, it is. So is a surface of a sphere.
Yeah.
Well, I have to spherical
No,
coordinates.
I don't think you understand what a plane is.
I understand what a plane is. You don't understand what two dimensions is, though.
Not if you think the surface of a sphere has a 2D plane on it
I
somewhere.
didn't say it had a 2D plane on it. I said it was two-dimensional.
You said that earlier. We're gonna have to run the
No,
tape
you
back.
said-
Heads can
you-
run the tape
you're trying
back
to
and
trick
see
my
what
words.
Paige said.
If I
Okay,
said it,
wait. I have a
was incorrect.
question. Okay, Paige, I have a question. Say about an infinite number of what?
You can either have one surface or it could have an infinite number of surfaces. That's how you figure it out.
And how many surfaces does a sphere have?
That's what I said. An infinite. You could
How
either
many
be one-
surfaces does a sphere have?
It could either be one or it could be infinite.
Is it a
number.
is it a planar surface?
What?
It is
Infinite number of
two-dimensional.
sides
Yeah.
on a sphere.
Yeah, that's like, you go from like a cube to a dodecahedron to a disco ball. Yeah, it's called calculus. You should look it up. sometime.
Donegal.
So
Shout
you're
out to
saying
the
that at some point there wouldn't be an equal amount of distance between
No, there's
the
always
center
equal
and the
amount.
radius. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that the
You're
number
saying we're
of
gonna have a
points-
sphere in the end. You're saying we're
number
gonna
of
have a sphere in
surfaces.
the end where there's a point where it's not the same distance from another point from the radius
I didn't say
from the
that.
center of the sphere circle.
I didn't say that.
Sphere. That's what you're
It's a fun part of math. It's a fun part
You're
of math
implying
of
that.
being able to describe the surface of a sphere as having infinitely small surfaces on it.
That's how you figure it out.
It's
That's
just
why you end up with.
mathematically.
That's what you end up with. With
It's
4 pi r squared.
That's absolutely stupid, asinine, and
Right,
it
well,
has
I mean-
I understand.
it has no
Okay, so-
bearing
it's
on
perfectly-
reality.
Actually, it has a very big
no
difference
bearing
bearing on
on reality.
Actually, it has a very big
That's
bearing on
why
reality.
you guys live in la la land.
It's called calculus.
And
You
this
should
is
look
where
it up.
the
Yeah,
denial
exactly. That's exactly where I was going to go. Calculus is bullshit. Brandon,
Calculus is bullshit.
Yeah,
Oh wait,
yeah,
I gotta write this one
right,
down.
right.
yeah.
Calculus is bullshit.
Brandon, bring up your statement earlier about how you connected calculus, the creation of calculus, with its association with the globe.
Just real quick, just to get a base level of our understandings, Travis, how many dimensions are required to find the area of the surface of a sphere?
Hey, Brandon.
No,
remember
no,
what you said
don't
earlier?
answer that. Don't answer
Why?
that
Don't
question.
answer a
'cause
legitimate
it's so
question after he
annoying.
said calculus
It's
is
so
bullshit.
fucking
He says
annoying.
calculus is
no,
bullshit.
no,
If I ask
no,
him
no,
about
listen,
dimensions
listen.
of a surface,
Come on, then,
and that's where you draw the
Hold
line.
on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Brandon earlier, when Paige brought up Newton creating calculus, Brandon made a very interesting point. That's all I want him to do is repeat it.
Yeah,
All right,
all I
I'm still
said
gonna
was
press you for
that
the answer, by
Isaac
the way.
Newton created calculus, along with the other work he did in physics to support his occult studies, which were based on his end times prophecy, belief in end times prophecy. Let's read about calculus, though. Calculus, originally called infinitesimal calculus or the calculus of infinitesimals, is the mathematical study of continuous change in the same way that geometry is the study of shape and algebra is the study of generalizations of arithmetic operations.
Yeah, hang on, Brandon. Can we just pause it? Can you read the geometry one again?
What geometry?
Geometry is the study of what?
Study of
Yeah,
shape.
the geometry is the study of shapes.
Yeah, shape. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Infinitesimal calculus was developed independently in the 7th century by Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Something like that.
Newton was wrong about everything.
Newton was wrong about everything.
His
Here's
law of
another great quote.
viscosity. His law of viscosity. What happened with that?
Add that quote to the chat.
Yeah, this definitely, man.
Add it up. Add it up, you
I mean,
fuck.
this boils down to what we're looking for. If you're asking for
Actually-
like the formal mathematical definition of the surface of a sphere, then you're gonna get these abstract mathematical answers. If you want something else, then
Not us. Not from us.
I
You're
don't
not.
want abstract. We want actual. We don't want abstract.
Yeah,
Fucking
not
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Not abstract. Not abstract. Let's ask Travis then. Travis, my question still stands. Are you man enough to answer?
What? Go ahead and ask your question.
Right. So the question is, how mmany dimensions are required to find the area of the surface of a sphere?
I can give a
3.
shit. I can give a shit.
There you go.
Kango 24, $5. Most things are designed with NURBS. These are 3D parameterized surfaces that can be described in 2D, U and V. Skeptic actually means reality denier. Skeptic means reality denier. That's interesting. I know a few people who describe themselves as skeptics, like what's that guy that runs that website? I'll think of his name in a minute. I would search for skeptics on the internet and see what you come across, Kango, because I think some of the people that you're calling reality deniers would squarely be in your camp. Kango 24, $5. I hope you skeptics enjoy your cars. They're built using bullshit, apparently. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? What a fucking... Oh, Kango.
Listen, Newton's was wrong with everything, bro. This is not like I didn't make this up. Your own people are going with me. Shanker,
Newton's
Feynman,
not wrong.
Feynman, Shanker, all the people. They all know he was wrong.
No, they don't actually. That's
All his laws fall apart everywhere you look.
No, they don't.
Not everywhere you look. There are particular places where it does break down. It's probably not the best thing to use, but that doesn't mean that it breaks down and is false. It's just not as good as other methods. But it's totally more than good for us in our daily activities on Earth.
What's this, B-ball? This thing that you've
All right, so I have a
Put in the
question.
chat.
Bio.
Hold on, I just asked B-ball a question.
I didn't hear you.
B-ball. Oh. Can you see my screen, B-ball? You posted this shape in the chat. Why did you post this? What is this?
B-ball doesn't know what's going on. Where B-ball? Where are you right now? He doesn't even know.
Brandon,
He's eating Cheetos.
Can I ask a question on that? That image kind of encapsulates my question. People are querying the mathematical descriptions, and I assume it's ballers that are describing the ways of describing the area of a sphere mathematically correctly, and it says that are challenging it. Why? That image there encapsulates why you should accept what the ballers are saying, because it describes the impossibility of everything they try to play out in reality.
That's not a sphere that was posted, by the way.
No, it's not. It's a multi-decahedron, isn't it? And that's the point. There's not one flat surface that, however big the sphere is, you can wrap it truly on it.
There's no faces, right, Adam?
Yeah.
There's no faces, right, Adam?
There is no such thing as a face on a sphere. There isn't one
linear function on a sphere, even as much as you might try to picturize it like that disco ball. That doesn't exist on the sphere.
Exactly. Right. It's purely mathematical.
Said, Adam.
There's an infinite amount of infinitesimally small surfaces on a sphere. It's purely mathematical.
Yeah, but it's not a polyhedron, bro.
Right. That's
It's
why
a
it's bullshit.
sphere. It's not a
It's-
polyhedron. You're
it's
just
the
doing
limit.
that to manifest a mathematical abstraction.
Exactly, but
to
if
have,
you take the number of surfaces,
but it's
to
not a
infinite-
polyhedron, dude.
It's
not.
it is
It
a
has
polyhedron
no
with infinite
Hey,
numbers.
listen,
Hey, why are you
your
talking
sphere.
about
Listen,
that?
your
sphere
your
has
sphere,
one
your sphere,
surface.
your sphere has no edge,
A
right?
sphere.
So if there's no edge in your sphere, that means there's no horizon, right? So welcome to flat Earth, because when you have two sides,
Oh, flat Earth.
when you have
you're
two,
confusing two different
when you have
things.
two, yeah. The point is your sphere don't have edges, right?
If
doesn't have an
we're on
edge.
the surface
The
of
only-
it and we're looking across, there would be an endpoint in which
There's
the,
no edge on your
the
sphere,
the
dude. Their
sphere
spheres don't
is
have
now
edges,
tipping
right?
away. Hold on.
So there you go.
There's a point in which the surface of the sphere starts going away from you, so you don't see it anymore. There will
You
be a
don't
point
have
where
a-
the
you
sky
don't have
meets
an
the
edge,
ground,
remember?
and then you will appear to have a horizon. If you want to
You
say
don't have an
the sphere
edge, dude.
has the edge, you can say that.
So you have
colloquially,
nothing. You
but
have
the sphere
nothing that
doesn't
dips
have an
over.
edge.
You have nothing that
don't have a
moves
horizon.
past. There's no edge on a sphere, dude. So there's nothing for it
Right,
to
there
dip
is no
over,
edge,
right?
but when you're talking about perspective, you can create a point in which
Oh.
the sphere
But
connects
perspective
to
is
the
different
sky,
because
and it
you know
looks
why
like an edge. It
perspective is
looks like a
different?
horizon.
Because
back to my diagram.
you have objects in the
Refer back to my
foreground being
diagram.
able to appear to refract upward into the neutral point. All those objects in the foreground can block the bottom of objects in the background past that angular limit. So your perspective is not calculated for in your edges, bro.
No,
and
we're
also,
talking about purely
and also
perspective.
from
Purely
plane to
perspective.
plane,
If you want to add refraction,
plane to
then you're adding more than
conclusion,
perspective.
In conclusion, you should see more sky than you see ground beneath your feet and around you. In conclusion.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Dan, we showed you how to derive the surface area of a sphere. Obviously, you don't have the math knowledge
And
necessary for it.
No, I simply put the drawing in the background
That's
for
not
you
how
as a
it works.
demonstration.
I know, Dan.
Oh,
I
it
know you
simply
don't
is
have
how
the
a
math.
sphere
for it.
works.
You barely understand the 1 + 1
I
=
don't
2.
think you can comprehend. Can you comprehend the look in the back chat? Do you see the drawing? Did I post it?
Anybody else not smart enough to understand it?
I don't see it, Demok. Maybe
You don't
repost
see a
He's
couple of.
talking shit.
What did Demok post? Where's
It's
that?
Who knows?
It's up a little bit.
He posted
It's
a
up
bunch
right
of
away.
posted a bunch of derivatives using multivariate calculus. What do you think? Obviously,
That's fucking right. Good cheerio on you, mate. Now, what I did was I posted a little dot, right? And then what that dot can see, right? And from one point on the earth, you're being on the smallest portion of dirt you could ever fucking exist on a sphere. Meaning
definitely
everything you see around you would be more sky, add it up, do your calculation. You'd see more sky, more air, more sky than you ever would ground. So why do we see all this ground everywhere?
How did we get into this from the surface area of a sphere?
I don't know.
I want to watch Debunk in a AP calculus class integrate. That would just
No, it would. He would not even calculate. He couldn't even get in. I mean, he doesn't know that 1 + 1 = 2. What the fuck?
Brad,
No,
how long did it take you to get to that punchline there, Paid?
Yeah,
That was
Demok-
impressive that you knew that, Shield.
I mean,
He had it written down.
Somebody's feeding him. Somebody's feeding him for
He
that.
watches
There's
a
no
lot
way.
of Rodney.
feeding
He
him stuff.
watches a lot of Rodney because he gets no respect.
I don't, especially in here. And you
Who's
idiots.
feeding you info, Paid? We know you didn't know 1 + 1 is 2 yourself.
Actually, I do know that, and I do know how to calculate the surface of a sphere too.
Did I hear Gleam's voice?
Hey,
there?
wait, was that directed at
Yeah,
me?
you did, sir.
Oh, thank God. Do you understand why we're debating whether we and respect to the ballers, whether we consider it an infinite surface or we consider it as lots and loads of little polygons and how we calculate it like that. What's the purpose of that? Because all of that is subject to the same objective reality, however we describe it mathematically.
Exactly that. That's how some of the
Mathematics is nothing
coordinate
more.
systems were built.
Mathematics is nothing more than a language, and you guys don't speak it. I'm sorry.
Even if we agreed,
I don't speak.
and I don't think there's a
So
disagreement here.
here's one interesting thing. Like, you
Okay.
guys really.
No, forget the interesting thing. We're in the middle of a conversation. Yeah, dude, get some manners.
What I think.
Jesus, we're having a
Manners?
conversation,
That's not democracy.
and you go
Coming from
with,
Gleam?
here's an interesting thing.
Manners?
Yeah, we were talking. So even if we all agreed, all as flat earthers, how we want to describe mathematically a ball, a flat surface, right? The objection we all have between us is how that interprets in terms of our objective reality. Yeah, not how we describe it mathematically. And I don't disagree with the ballers. You can pick a number of options. It's kind of irrelevant. Yeah. But none of them, if we argue about it, make any difference to the fact that we don't observe the curvature you're describing in whichever mathematics you want to use. I'm being rude and interrupting.
No, I hear that. I hear that, but we gotta.
The same
we gotta,
observation stands. It's whatever you do with that and how you interpret the data afterwards. You can do that with maths. Yeah. You can make maths do things like aliens on board spaceships and actually put them in a computer game and make people kill each other and all this acid and all this fantastic stuff with maths as well. Maths is good.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
My mic wasn't working there for a while. I was like, why are they fucking just ignoring me?
We're just ignoring you. We do it.
Fuck, man, they finally lost all respect for me. Shit.
Nah, we'd never ignore the boss.
Show is this anyway?
It was a bit of a rant by me, Brandon. I apologise, but if I'd known you were speaking, I would have.
No, stop.
No, his mic wasn't working.
Oh shit! No, it was a good rant. I was cheering you on, but it didn't come through.
It's proper truth. It's just everyone can interpret the data in however they see fit. And guess what? That's science. So
Yes.
Feynman would say.
I think that there are two fantastic points that you guys have made. We could visualize, and some of these mathematical relationships do seem to work, such as optical drop, whether it's optical or physical. Let's say it's optical, and we visualize the ball, Earth as a ball beneath us. It seems to work for the most part. Whatever model you've created, for the most part, seems to work mathematically. The real question is, are we on a giant floating fucking ball? And we haven't seen any evidence that we're actually on a ball. That's what we're looking for. Do you guys understand that? Bio, do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one indication. Yeah, if the mathematics works, that's going to be one.
But wait a second. Wait a second.
No, hold on, Data. He totally blew my. Hold on, Data. He totally blew my answer off. He said,
No,
yes,
you're
that's
right.
one indication.
Right, you're right. The math isn't dictating or is proof for the reality that it's describing, but it's going to be like what we said earlier. It's an attribute. If it were a certain way, the math would check out in a certain way. That would be evidentiary in that way. Sure.
Today's discussions and yesterday's chat are a good exemplar of how you can use math to bamboozle people. We've just been chatting here about how we describe a ball. Okay. Now, none of that, the arguments that have gone off have had anything to do with flat Earth or ball Earth. They've all been about how we describe a ball mathematically. And in that point, like I said, it doesn't matter how you want to do it, as long as it's accurate at where the point you're taking the measurement. It's fine. But yesterday, we were discussing 1 degree equals 69 miles. Now, that's a very different fundamental concept when you engage on that topic. Because at that point, you're deciding whether the mathematics you're talking about describes distance due to perspective, or whether you're talking about angular change due to the curvature of the surface you're on and you tilting away from it, distance being irrelevant. And the maths will always be valid, because if the maths isn't valid, people would shoot it down very quickly. It's how you interpret and apply that maths to the reality you're observing. It's the most important thing.
Yep. And my contention is that if you're going to use something as a variable in one of your calculations, you have to confirm that that thing exists in the first place. Otherwise, you're making an assumption, an unsupported assumption, such as using the center of the Earth in a calculation and its density or curvature.
Or what 69 miles per degree in terms of a star's movement actually means to reality.
Yeah.
Before you then go on to, you have to define that and what it means and prove it fundamentally before you then use it in your paradigm.
Same.
And that's where we all wander off.
Same issue I have with space-time or time dilation or
those can be
length
demonstrated.
contraction.
Time
No,
dilation.
no. Listen, here's the thing with time dilation.
Shown.
You take the
Time
clocks,
dilation's
you
shown.
show shut the fuck up. You show a difference between the clocks. You say, we moved this clock really fast. It functioned differently. It ran slower. That's the effect. The clock didn't match the other clock at the end. Now the leap that you take is saying that effect we observed is due to time accelerating for the clock. Do you see the leap there?
Do you have another
It's
explanation? for that?
correlational. You show that the two things do link to each other, but at no point do you demonstrate that one causes the effect. That's the difference. You're just showing. It's a bit like ether, isn't it? When you claim ether, this effect of light is because of ether. I can show this effect of light, therefore ether. It doesn't demonstrate ether. It just completely shows you the effect that light has within the parameters you set it up. It
Same
doesn't.
with the maths. Yeah, it's exactly the same concept. Yeah.
Well, it's like saying time is the thing that grows plants, because a plant might take 3 months to grow, so therefore plant is grown by time. I've literally had people say this to me. I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
I
you
can
can
give-
use
I
you
can
could use
give a
time for just about everything. If I wanted to say, well, the cause of just about everything, be hard pressed not to find something, is time.
Bio, remember when you tried to use your independent variable as time with the stars moving through the sky hypothesis?
That very specific hypothetical scenario. Yeah. You can use time as an independent variable. That was just one example.
Time is
Yeah.
just the rate of change.
Yeah, but that's
It's
all you
not
had,
a
though.
cause of change, is it? It's just the rate. It's just the.
Arwen, sorry, are you ordering me to ban a sock or threatening me never to come back in the chat? I was actually looking for you to come in tonight. And is there another one besides Arwen's cat? Is this two trolls? What the fuck's going on out there? Anyway, Arwen, I wanted to tell you that I saw a picture earlier of an Arwen action figure. And dude, I think that you need to go figure out who can make these for you and sell them on your site. You know, some people sell t-shirts and stuff. You got to sell these fucking Arwen action figures, bro. You get these up, you get these sourced. I'll buy one, dude.
Description is pause.
Which fundamentally we derive from the motion of the sun above our head, and it's a unit of that unit's movement, isn't it? It's a function of that.
Well, my point was,
like I say, but so all it is a way. It's like an egg timer, isn't it? You could describe things in grains with a big egg timer, but it's a way of describing a rate of change. There's a
right. But
unit,
my point was
that's
that my
consistent,
point.
that you then apply that arbitrary that
As the
comparison
cause.
to. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
like
then my point.
like attributing it to the
Oh
cause
my
of
God! I
plants.
can't even get to my point.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, so description is an independent variable.
No.
Language is an independent variable.
Oh, shut up.
That's what I was about to say. What I was gonna
Why is
say.
still telling people to shut up?
Because he's stupid, man.
What did you just say, Phil?
So again, if you were to say that time was the if you were to say that time was the thing to cause the plant to
Can you
grow,
hear me?
right, as the cause of someone else has asserted before, right?
Good.
Yeah, we hear you. But the issue
Can you
is,
ban
the
it
issue
now,
is that
please?
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, are we?
Hey.
Yeah. How would you
Deniers.
like to have like a picture of your beloved dead ex-girlfriend to make fun as a soccer account everywhere? How would you
Hold on.
feel about that?
Arwen.
Oh my God, Arwen's
No,
here.
Arwen, hold on.
No.
Where's the C Macho?
No, this
It's
is
an
fine. 'cause-
ultimatum.
Hold on.
Delete it.
Arwen, dude, Arwen, are you drunk?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
What's
I
going
just
on?
wanted to make sure because you
Wait,
sound a
that
little
who's
slurry,
the
and I just
boss?
wanted to say to you, we can
I
talk
don't
about
give a
this
shit what you
offline.
think, how I sound. Delete it.
Wait, who's
Message
doing that,
me
Arwen,
in the
bro?
background
I don't
and tell
care
me
who
what's
it is.
going on.
Delete it.
Don't make threats in the
It's
fucking
a
chat
sock
and come in the
account,
show and threaten
psychological
me
warfare
with your
sock
presence
account.
if I don't
Delete
ban it.
it, or I will never shout you out again. I will never visit your chat.
Why are you making
Shit
threats
on you
like that?
I
Jesus
hate it
Christ,
from
dude.
now
Arwen,
on.
we're gonna
All
take
right,
care of it.
all right, let's move on.
Arwen, we're gonna take care of it. Relax.
Somebody record this.
Arwen,
Somebody record this.
Arwen,
great.
we're gonna take care of it. Relax.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, it's a
Someone's
live
right.
show. It's a live show. We're gonna take care of it, Arwen. We got you.
Anyway, what were you guys saying?
Yeah, so back to the
I was
datums.
saying that.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, no, I was just simply saying, like, with what Adam's saying,
Look
it's
at
again,
Arwen.
it's a unit of measure, right? In order that we can denote a measurement from it. Like you were saying with the egg timer, you could, count the grains instead. But like again, I've had people assert to me that time is what makes plants grow. But no, if I manipulate the light source, right, then the plant will grow in a different unit of time, in a different measure. So obviously, I don't know who was saying it's an independent variable. No, it's not.
Yeah, it can be an independent variable. Of course it can.
And what if all you had was time?
Of course it can.
What if that was the only independent variable? Hold on. Let's just pretend that it is. What if that was the only thing you had, like as in your stars moving across the sky theory?
Okay. And what?
What if all you had was time for something? Because you can only observe it and you could never.
Depends on your experiment, man.
Yeah. So you'd actually have to touch something to have the experiment, right?
No, not necessarily. Why not?
You can just have an experiment without. You can just have an experiment without touch. So you don't have.
You can have observations in which you have a hypothesis of things occurring.
Yeah, that's how you get the hypothesis. After that, though, you're going to actually need to touch something for the experiment part, right?
That'd be one way, man. There are many methods.
Is there a different way other than touching something?
What to learn? What did you say? Sorry.
No, for the experiment.
Just for like any old experiment? Yeah.
Or hypothesis. Hypothesis test.
Right. You don't have to touch.
Yeah, guys, I have no problem getting rid of a troll that's posting pics or whatever, especially if it's of someone's deceased relative. I just don't know what's going on. And all I'm seeing in the chat is threats. And I don't see, because I don't watch it 24/7. So if there's somebody needs to be banned out there, like they're trolling him like that, fucking ban him, get rid of him. But I have no idea what's going on out there, honestly. I just started getting threatened, and then he came in here and gave me an ultimatum, and I don't know what's going on.
You can know things or figure things out by limiting how you test things or where you get knowledge from. You're limiting yourself by a lot.
Great. How would I test my ether band?
You can take measurements. You don't have to touch the air. You don't have to manipulate the air. You can measure the air, and then depending on.
I've done that.
I know, and I'm almost done explaining. You can do all these measurements, and then you can make your observation, and then you can come to conclusions. You can have hypotheses of if I have these 1,000 observations at the same place and all these different measurements, I can see that when the temperature is the same but the humidity is different, I get this kind of effect. You have done nothing to manipulate your experiment. You've only taken measurements, and you can hypothesize and you can come to conclusions.
Again, you silly people are focusing on the wrong claim. That's not my claim.
I don't give a shit what your claim is, man. I'm just explaining to you how you don't have to manipulate anything. You don't have to touch
Just
anything
like I
to have a
didn't give a shit
hypothesis and
about
test your
finding out the
hypothesis
area of a
and come to
sphere.
conclusions.
Right.
Yeah, but you say that the area of the sphere is wrong, and you have no evidence to support it.
No, that's not what I was talking about, Paige. You don't even know what I was talking about, bro.
You say
Just
the
sit
ether
down.
band's wrong,
He
and
doesn't
you've
even know
got
what
no
he's talking
evidence
about.
to support it.
Oh, the ether band is wrong because
Where's
he has
your
no
evidence,
to
please?
support it.
Evidence, please.
I would like, yeah, that's what I said.
He's
I
got
would
a
like some
whole
evidence for the
channel
No, you haven't got
dedicated
evidence
to
against it, so you can't say that,
Actually,
can
I
you?
do.
That's
But
science.
no, that's not how it works. If you have a hypothesis, you need to come up with evidence for it.
No, Travis has a whole
He's shown evidence, hasn't he?
channel full of
No, not really.
videos of mirages. That's what Travis has.
So so
What's on
Paige,
your
again,
channel?
just
Ether
You see,
band
the thing
proven.
about it is you don't do science on YouTube usually.
You don't know how to do science.
Actually, I
Said
do
the
know how
guy
to do
called
science.
Paid
but that's another-
Latitude.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
joke.
you don't know
In
how
case
you don't know
didn't get
shit.
a
Hey,
joke, it's a
QE,
joke.
QE exposed your science acumen. You
No,
don't have
QE
one.
is an idiot.
We've all seen the video that he made.
QE is an idiot. Everything he said was wrong.
hey, Paige, I'll extend you the same invitation, right? I'll send you the video. It's a 20-minute video. You don't even have to watch. You don't even have to watch the full 20 minutes, right? Ali B said he got my point within like 10 minutes. Okay, so you don't even have to watch the full 20. I'm inviting you to engage with me.
I'll look at it.
Hold on. I'm inviting you to engage with me. You've already watched it, B-Brick.
Yeah, just post it again. I want to laugh at it.
So
that's
again,
real funny.
Yeah. So again, Paige, listen. I'm open to honest criticism, not just your hand wave dismissal accusations, right? So, are you willing to look at the video?
Do I have to watch all 20 minutes of it?
I just
No,
fucking
you
told
don't
you.
have to. You don't have to watch or listen to anything that he says. I have him on record saying that light doesn't
Shut
curve.
up, Bio. Shut up.
I don't think that you should listen. I don't think you should take the advice from somebody who says light doesn't curve when it talks about refraction in the atmosphere. Not the
Ignacio
best.
Show can't even answer the question of whether light
Fine,
bends.
I'll
He got
watch.
destroyed by someone asking him if does light bend, Paid
It
Show?
doesn't.
I'm just gonna go
Light
on
doesn't
mute,
bend
everybody.
anywhere
I'm
near
just
enough
on
for you
mute.
to
I'm on
explain Polaris observations.
He can't even say yes.
Light
See
doesn't
that,
bend
Bio?
anywhere near enough for you to
Here,
explain
make it basic, Shell.
Polaris observations.
Can light bend, Shell?
Light can bend.
Okay, there we go. There's your answer. Travis, can light bend?
Yep.
Why did you tell me in DMs that light does not bend?
I don't remember the context. It depends on what you asked.
I have well thought it out. Light doesn't curve.
Oh, that's different.
Well, actually, now, if we want to be pedantic about it, light doesn't actually bend, right? If you're talking about photons traveling through the air,
Yes, of course it bends.
Its path
it'll
bends,
bend due
right?
to that. It'll
Right,
also
did the
bend due
photon
to
bend?
gravitational
Yeah,
lensing as well.
Yeah, did the photon bend?
No, the path that it takes. So light.
Uh-huh.
We're not saying the
This is so
photon.
full of shit.
We're not saying the
Oh
photon
my
itself
God, when-
as a
when one
particle
of you
is
wakes up to
bending
this-
and malleable. We're talking about light. When we're talking about light, are we talking about the path that it takes? Of course we are.
Yeah.
Oh,
when one of you
okay.
guys wakes up, honestly, it's going to be like a glorious day of celebration. It's going to be like somebody.
It's the same way when we say a
coming to
car is
Jesus.
turning. We're not saying the car itself is malleable and the car is turning. The path that the car is taking a curved path. The car is turning. Light is curving.
Just like I thought, an entire video of looking at mirages.
Oh,
Great,
wow,
great.
poor
Good job.
B-Brick.
Good job, Travis.
What's,
so
what's wrong with looking at mirages?
Good job.
Yes, you
Good
can't
job.
debunk my claim. All you can do is bitch.
You know, all
What's
you can
wrong
do
with
is
looking at
watch
mirages?
video of
Can't-
mirages.
You can't debunk
What's
my
wrong with
claim.
that?
have a channel, and what's on it?
Just
I
one
do
I
have
have to
a,
watch.
I do have a channel. Hey, let's all let Chad give Chad like 5 minutes so he can give us a 5-minute rundown of something that he knows for sure. Go
Hey,
ahead, go ahead,
B-ball.
Chad. I'll go on mute.
Hey, B-ball. What's wrong with looking at mirages and observing? Isn't that the first part of the scientific method? Observe a phenomena.
They don't like science.
Oh, be quiet, Jeremy.
It's
You want
not
to
like
a
it.
bitch in the butt.
They like science. They like Star Wars, but they don't know science. That's the problem.
Yeah, there's.
Hey, I saw
Says
that when it
Gleam.
came
I
out in
love
the
how
theater.
I love people who have no background in science get to say what science is. I love it.
I get to call out people who pretend they've got degrees.
You have no idea what science is, Gleam. We've established that.
Yeah, when?
It's lasers.
What are you talking about? When did we do that?
Oh, you, Daymark, definitely don't know what science is.
We've exposed you.
So,
and
Jeremy.
so
Okay,
you're
okay.
projecting
So
on
is
them. You're
M. Scott
projecting.
Veach a scientist? Because he claims to be one.
Crack, right? I've got no fucking idea what etiquette is, right? But I can read
Yeah.
its definition from a dictionary.
Exactly right.
Brandon.
Like for real. So M. Scott Veach claims that he's a computer scientist, right? Correct?
I don't know.
I could claim
Well,
Yeah,
that.
I'm pretty sure that's part of what he does. I don't think he does
Yeah,
it
is he a
professionally, but
scientist? Is
but
he
like
a
a hobbyist.
scientist though?
Yeah,
So
in,
like,
in
if
the
you're
most layman
referring to
version, yeah.
individuals
There
like
is a thing
him,
called
if you're
computer
referring to individuals like him, right, that attribute science as the form of pseudoscience, again, reading definitions, you can still understand what something is, as Meekin just stated, right? Still understand what something is. Okay, you don't have to be involved in a field of science whatsoever to understand what science is denoted as. Okay,
Yeah, you can
that's
also
a fallacy in itself.
misunderstand what you're looking at. And
When you guys have a
act like you
chance,
know what
could
you're looking
I
at
have a
and
moment with
misunderstand
Brandon?
it.
I'm still waiting for an honest baller to at least just even deal with a claim.
Well, don't hold your breath.
Just got people bitching about pictures
Yeah, you
and
look at
mirage.
mirages. Yeah.
Yeah, deal with my
So
claim, bitch.
what can you tell us about the mirage?
Deal with my claim, bitch.
That it's not Earth curve. It's actually
You're
a
still
mirage.
bitching. You're
Is that
still
your
bitching.
claim?
You're still bitching.
It's not Earth curvature. It's just everything goes into a mirage.
If you
But you can't
watch-
explain. You never explain when there's no mirage, but there's still.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
No, you
Yes.
don't. No, you don't.
You're lying, B-ball.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah. Thanks.
What have you said
B-ball is
about it?
lying?
What have you said about it?
No way. It's
What
not
have- what
like
have
he
you-
just
what have you
deleted a
said-
video last
what
week
have you
about
said-
me lying that he was
What have you
lying
said?
about.
Yeah, I was honest about that, and I deleted it. Thank you. Which
Honest
flat
by
earthers
lying
aren't
again.
do? What flat earthers don't do when they're showed to be
Debunk
wrong?
my claim and I'll take my channel down.
Travis.
Oh, hello.
Mirages. Yes, mirages happen. Okay.
That's not what
When
my
there's no-
fucking claim
but
is.
when there's
Fuck,
no
man.
mirage and there's
Listen,
still
you're
obstruction.
still fucking repeating the same bullshit that you put up
Exactly.
on your video. You put that up on
Exactly.
your video.
I
That's
don't
not
take
my
videos
claim.
of mirages. I don't
That's
take
not
videos.
my claim.
Somebody's.
That's all they got.
Hello.
What's up?
Yeah,
Who's saying
hear
hello?
you.
Oh, is that George?
Yeah, me, George. Brandon,
Yeah,
can you meet me in the brief room for the beef room just for a moment?
Bro, we're in the middle of a show.
George.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
What's wrong with
He
people?
needs his ostomy bag changing. Don't be so fucking disingenuous. Give him a break.
George,
Well,
can
I just want to talk to Brandon briefly. That's all.
we are in the middle. If I go over there, George, though,
serious
that
right
then
now?
the show will move from this room to
Hey,
that room.
We'll go.
Well,
we'll all go
well,
on
when
deck.
you have a moment, let me talk to you in this room, man.
After the show.
We'll
Go ahead.
all go on Deppin, George. We'll all go
Oh,
on
if you. Oh yeah, go ahead. Say it right here.
Donate 15 grand, George, and we'll talk about it.
Say it right here, George. Go ahead. We'll all go on mute.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask him if he got my direct messages. I worked out that problem you guys were talking about yesterday regarding Polaris and the buildings, and my first intuition on that wasn't totally correct, and it's primarily due to perspective, and I have some data, and if you look it over, the data it is really quite revealing. That's all I wanted
Really?
to say.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Perspective.
check that out for sure. I'm a little behind on my DMs, as anybody that's DM'd me in the last 3 days knows. So I'll check it out.
You have 800 DMs for me, bro. Come
I know.
on.
Yeah, you've got a few from me too, Jeremy, that you've never looked at.
Relax, people.
When you say 3 days, Brandon,
Yeah.
That 3.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Did it have a 0
3
in, after it?
Oh, Adam, I know you're still holding a grudge, aren't you?
Hey, B-Ball, when are you going to drop that false claim, bro?
What false claim is that?
That I'm making claims about the fact that mirages happen. Because that's not my claim. So when are you going to stop saying that?
So why do you keep showing mirages for then?
Have you seen the video?
So, I've seen most of his videos, and they're all pretty much the same.
No,
Yeah, you don't pay attention, bro. You don't pay attention. All you do, I don't even know what the fuck you do. Look, my whole channel in my description says, if you would like to correspond or offer any criticism, here's my email. None of you bitches, globe flakes, do any of that. All you do is...
Because you're beyond help.
Yeah, you haven't even tried.
No, exactly. I haven't even tried. Because
You just claim that everything disappears into the ether band. That's your claim. Right? Everything hides behind the ether band?
Not on that new video that you watched.
Everything hides behind the mirage, aka ether band?
No, the mirage
nothing goes over a curve?
No, the mirage is not the ether band. Mirage is not the ether band, okay? Anyway, it's open. You guys have my email address. Make some constructive criticisms.
If you want a response, it's $300 an hour.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
kidding,
donate
Travis.
to his GoFundMe so he can take more video of mirages.
Hey, a B-ball, what do you have a problem with? Some people, they go out and take pictures of wildlife all day long. They take pictures of bugs. They take pictures of clouds.
Nothing wrong with that.
So Travis is interested. The phenomena he's interested in is mirages, which are, I've learned a lot from his observations. Just
because
about
he claims that
mirages.
there's no curve, everything goes into the mirage.
Exactly. When he takes these observations,
when you guys show us some curvature,
you talk
when you
all day
because he has to talk. So when you show us some curvature, then we won't have to talk about it anymore.
We show you curvature.
No, you don't. You just proclaim that there's curvature. You see an effect, and you say that's due to curvature.
That. We show you the Eratosthenes experiment. You deny that. We show you, other experiments.
You're listing a bunch of things where you've assumed curvature.
You see mountains obstructed.
None of those assume curvature. They all demonstrate it.
I've even got
Eratosthenes works on a flat Earth.
I've even got clouds obstructed.
No, Eratosthenes does not work on a flat Earth.
It did, according to the Chinese Eratosthenes in 100 BC,
well,
mate.
He was incorrect, wasn't he?
He wasn't.
He was incorrect.
Go and have a look. Yeah, and he was just slightly misaccurate than Eratosthenes. If he was incorrect, the king would have cut his head off, you dickhead.
If that's true, can't we just recreate that experiment?
Sure, and we've done
Go
it.
look up the paper. Chinese Eratosthenes of the flat Earth.
Couldn't we all get together and recreate that?
It's like it's been done, like the kids do every day. If you look at an Eratosthenes experiment and look up the kids, you can find the kids do it in schools like almost every day of the year.
Yes.
Brandon, we got the video of it in the Eratosthenes room.
Come on.
In the Eratosthenes room, there's a video of them doing it on a flat surface.
Yeah.
And the flat surface, all the lights point to the same point, and they don't do that on when you do the Eratosthenes experiment in reality.
I hear Brian's logic. What's up, Brian?
Hey everyone. Hey Brandon. What's going on, lads? Hey, I am paying out your shill there, making a lot of claims. Eratosthenes.
Mine's logic.
You know what you need for that, paying out the shill? You
Don't
need
tell me.
parallel sun rays. Have
Yeah,
you
you
got
can
that
demonstrate
photograph that I requested from you?
Yeah, you can
Of
demonstrate
parallel
that.
sun rays? Have you got a photograph of it, like I asked you for months ago?
Brian, you can assume it because the Eratosthenes experiment proves that they're parallel. Don't you know that?
Yeah, that's the thing. You see, I would like to ask him now about his knowledge on this supposed experiment.
I just confirmed that if you don't assume that, then all the other assumptions you make don't work either.
You don't have to assume, you can demonstrate. You know how. Look it up. Demonstrate yourself. I'm tired of teaching you.
Which one of the lads do you want to pull out,
Brian.
Funny.
Hey, Brian's logic. We could do it right now if you want.
Really, what could you do? Walk me through the steps.
Determine.
Big boy,
We all could do it.
Walk me
We
through the
all
steps.
could do it.
What's the sun?
So we
What's
we could
step
all
one?
go out. We could
What's
all
step
go
one?
outside, right? Let's all go
What's
outside.
step one? What is step one?
Step one. Okay, step one. Let's all go outside
No,
right now.
what is step
Step
one?
two.
Ian Adams, that is funny shit. Eratosthenes. Anese. The Chinese Eratosthenes.
Boys. Step two. Go outside. Go outside. Get a theodolite application on your phone.
That could be
Point it
done.
at the sun, right? Take a screenshot.
It's night time.
And then it'll give you the angle. And then we could all put all of our
Angle.
pictures
Three straight
together.
lines. Three straight lines.
And we can put
So
all of
so
our
flat-
pictures
flat out-
together.
Three straight
And we'll
lines.
put them on a curved
So
surface.
you don't
Oh,
know.
shut
You don't
up.
know.
Oh my
You
God.
don't know what
Brian,
Eratosthenes
Brian.
did yet.
Oh my God.
What
So you don't know what Eratosthenes did yet. Was it what Eratosthenes did? Was that longitudinal?
Brian, are you?
Was
are,
that
you- are you
longitudinal,
gonna, are you
people?
gonna
Was
ever
it
gonna let me
longitudinal?
finish?
Was it longitudinal? You finished with it. You already finished. What you told me.
No, you cut me off. You
Was
cut
it
me off.
longitudinal?
That's what
No, I
happened.
left you speak. You didn't have anything to say. Was it a
You cut me
longitudinal?
off. No, you cut me
No,
off.
he's
That's what
he's
happened.
right, B-ball.
You
You were droning on and on.
Yeah,
No,
you're gonna.
no, he cut me off in the middle of whatever.
Yeah, it's all good though. We're all happy with it.
That's all you say.
Whatever. Yeah.
I heard what he said.
Go on, okay, let him go. Let's hear the whole lot of it. Let's. Come outside, take an angle of the sun.
Here's
Go
how
from
we
there.
could figure out.
Go
Here's
from
how we
there.
could.
Go from there.
Here's how we could figure out whether the.
Not here. I don't want to hear
oh my
here. I
God.
want to hear about
Really?
Eratosthenes. The claim is Eratosthenes. You came in to say paid NASA chill. Now you're charged with walking us through. So go outside, take an angle to the sun. Angle. What is an angle?
Are you done?
What is an angle?
Let me start back at the beginning.
What is an
Okay, 'cause
angle?
let me start at the beginning.
What is an
Step
angle?
one, let's go outside.
Yeah.
Step
Take an
two.
angle to the sun.
Are you ever
We
gonna
got
shut
that
up?
far. We don't need to hear that again.
Brandon,
I
can
already
you put him
read
on mute,
up
please? Can you put him
Brian,
on
just
mute,
let him
please?
go. Brian, let him go.
Holy crap, dude.
Just
Hey,
go.
full of rubbish,
Step
also.
one, go outside, right? Step two, get a theodolite app on your phone that gives you the angle, right? It gives you angles and degrees and stuff. Step three, point it at the sun. Put the crosshairs right on the sun, right? Step four, we gather all of our screenshots together, right? With all the angles and all the data on it. We'll put it on a flat surface from our locations, right? And then we'll put on a curved surface, and then we'll see which ones are parallel.
That's really interesting. What
Yeah, I find it funny that he said pointed at the sun when the sun's not actually where you say it is.
Oh, right, right.
That's in the
We could use that and determine where it's at, couldn't we?
That's a really good point. That supports no one. So FE Core did do
nobody
this
wants
work.
to try it for some reason.
I'll
Even though
say
it's already
again,
been done.
FE Core did do this work. Very interesting what the results are. I won't bore the shit out of you, but go to FE Core website. Go look at the results of that. It doesn't help either
Oh,
model.
I bet that was
if you
really
want to
conclusive.
construct it in a physical position and trigonometry and all of those things. It doesn't help either model that. Okay, so
well, you know what it would determine,
go and
right? It
look
would
at FE Core website.
You know what it would
with
determine,
regards to the claim that you've just made that if people
Mm-hmm.
should do this, people have done this. Go and have a look at
Where?
the results.
Just
And then
go
when you
get-
come back with
You
it,
said it's on FE Core's website. I'll go look at it. Absolutely.
brilliant. Honestly, I'm not being. It's there. They've done it. The results are very, very interesting. It relates to what I say about trying to triangle. We can use trigonometry to get our position on the flat plane we live upon, right? But what we can't do is use trigonometry to try and locate the stars to give us our position on the flat plane. Very interesting and nonsensical, but that's the reality. And that doesn't work for either. It doesn't work for either model. That I'm not being one-sided there or the other there. They're the realities of the observations.
You know what it would show us the distance to the sun if it was small and local.
No, it wouldn't.
How would
Did you not listen to what any word I just said?
No.
Any word I just said.
I want him to support that claim. How would it show us
Something
that
real quick.
before?
Hold on, guys.
Hold on. Oh, guys, hold on. Adam, are you
He's
done?
making a lot of claims.
No,
Of
no.
course he
I'll
is,
repeat
Brian.
it
That's
again,
all he
Brandon, if I can
does.
Just have a second.
Yeah, go
I'm not
ahead.
making a claim. I'm saying we could do this. We could all do this together, and we can figure it out.
Listen, I'll come to an agreement with you.
Hold on.
B-Ball,
What's up?
I'll come to an agreement with you, okay? But this because I'm taking the first step here. Here it is.
Wow.
You give me an honest response to that video, and I'll do whatever Eratosthenes things you outline for me. I'll do it.
I think one of the Globers should have to do it on the ground with an object that's not a star to prove that they can do that.
You're gonna
shit.
take wait. You're gonna take me up on that?
This is all going.
Are
This
you
is all
saying
going
the one you
completely
just
wrong.
posted?
Yeah, this is all going completely wrong because now you're getting involved in his bullshit. He's after making claims, and now he's expecting us to go and support them.
No,
he has
we're
made
just
claims.
doing an
I've asked him
experiment,
questions
Brian.
about Eratosthenes. Now he won't shut up. I've
Brian,
asked him
we're
questions
just doing
about
an
Eratosthenes,
experiment.
investigation, and he hasn't answered them. So
Brian,
I'm
we're
going to
just
ask
doing
you
an
a question.
experiment.
So again, B-Boy,
size it
was
up
it a
and
longitudinal?
triangulate it
Was it?
based
Hang on, Aaron, please.
on the-
Was it B-Boy? Was it a longitudinal measurement?
Yes, it was.
Right. So that's north to south, yes?
It's not the
North
what?
to south, south to north.
Yes, north to
Sorry?
south. Yes.
North to south.
Yeah, but there was
Okay.
it was only 2 points. But
Hang
we're using
on,
more
wait,
than 2
I'm
points.
not finished. I see the way. I know. See, you know why I'm saying this.
No,
Right.
but we're going
Because
to
the
use more than 2
distances-
points, though.
Because the
The
distances
more you
along
use, the more accurate it gets.
the distances along the longitude lines, the distances along the longitude lines are the same, curved or flat. So what you need now is parallel sun rays to curve those longitude lines. But the sun rays are divergent. So until you can prove parallel sun rays,
Brian.
you have fuck all.
Brian, we're using more than
I
2
just tore it
locations. We're
apart.
using multiple
I don't know why
locations.
Travis or anyone else was
On
wanting to hear
multiple
you.
latitude
I want to give you any time. I don't
Multiple
get that.
longitude lines.
Why anyone would give you any time whatsoever.
Hold on,
Your
Brian.
argument is just
Hold
being
on, Brian.
destroyed.
Hold on a second.
You need parallel
Brian,
sun rays.
We're
or else you have
using
not.
multiple
Have you
observers
got parallel
from
sun rays
multiple
or not?
All right.
longitude
Have you?
lines.
Point
I don't
made,
care.
Brian.
You
Point
make
made,
the
Brian.
Have you got parallel rays?
All right.
Brian,
Point made, Brian.
can B-Ball, can you prove parallel sun rays?
I just gave you a way that we could do it.
No, that's not proving
That's
it.
not the
That's-
point. Where are you
that's-
measuring?
I just gave you a way that we can figure it out.
Where are you measuring the
That's
parallel
point
sun
that
rays
you
from?
have to assume it's parallel.
Hold on
That's
a
what
second.
made
No,
us
the observation will tell us
triangulate
whether or
with
not
the
they're parallel.
assumption that
No.
it is parallel.
no.
That's what you made us do.
So
Look,
the observation, if we did the observation, it would tell us whether or not they were parallel.
No, you're using the assumption that they are
No,
parallel.
we're not
and the
assuming
observation-
anything. We're not
You're-
assuming
Yeah,
Let
you're
me
anything.
finish.
calculating
Listen,
it.
you
You're
guys gotta stop all this
triangulating it,
talking.
telling us
Let
to
me get
compare
3
the
seconds.
results on different models, and then
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, which one is parallel?" Giving us the suggestion that it has to be parallel. That's
What
what
he
you,
needs to do.
you
Well,
literally
if
B-Ball,
they
you have a
weren't,
different
right
way.
under
hold
our
on,
nose, and
hold on.
everybody here didn't even notice it.
We
Well-
noticed, Arwen. Arwen, we noticed. We're not noobs. Now, can you prove
All right.
parallel sun rays other than the Eratosthenes thing? Because that's your assumption in the Eratosthenes thing.
Any other way? Shit, I don't know. I mean, that's
Well,
the way
that's
I
what you
thought
need.
of it.
That's
That's
what
the
you
way I
need,
thought of
Jeremy.
it.
Jeremy,
And
that way doesn't
Eratosthenes-
prove it in the first place. He hasn't proved it at all.
Missing
He
out
didn't
on
prove
the
it.
whole-
It's not any
I
other way.
understand
He needs to
that.
prove
But
it
the
full
thing
stop.
is,
I
we could
understand it's
do
an
that.
assumption in the Eratosthenes thing. He can't use that to prove
But-
parallel
but the
sun rays
thing
because
is-
it's already an assumption.
If we did that, then you know what it would give us an actual distance to the sun
No,
if it was
wouldn't.
small and local.
Because you
How would
can't.
it give you distance to the sun? How would you determine the distance to the
Because
sun?
if we're using multiple,
How do you determine? How do you determine?
if-
How do you
if we're
determine the distance?
Hey, hold
What are
on.
you
if,
using?
No distance.
if we're
Hold on a
using
second.
multiple
Hello?
observers looking at the sun at the same time, right? That
No,
would
that's
make a
not
bunch
what
of
No,
you
that doesn't give you a distance.
right?
Hold
Would
on
it
a
not
second.
make
God
bunch of
damn it.
triangles?
Can you
That
hear
doesn't
me?
give you a distance.
Then we could triangulate
hold
the
on,
distance
D-Mac.
to the sun.
That doesn't give you a
Could we
distance.
not do that?
You can't get a distance off an angle to the sun. You can't do that.
One observer to the sun.
All
Wouldn't
you're
that make a
measuring
tri-
is
wouldn't
the
that make a
angle of
triangle?
space.
the
All you're
sun
measuring is
you're
the angular
talking about.
space between the. All you're measuring is the angular space between the surface and the sun. That's all you're measuring.
If I make an
You have
observation,
no idea
and
what that
someone
height
in,
is.
if I make an observation here in Hawaii, and then someone in, I don't know, New York makes an observation, we both look at the sun at the same time. Wouldn't that give us a triangle?
How many times
You
are we gonna
assume
ask the
you're
same
looking at the
fucking
same
question?
object in Euclidean
Oh,
space.
so now we
yeah.
got more than so.
That doesn't
So
give you a
Arwen,
height.
are you saying that there's more than one sun, Arwen? Come on.
I'm saying there is no sun. You're
Oh,
looking at a
there's no
holographic
sun.
phenomenon unique to
It's
the
the apparent
observer.
position that
But
we
You're
hang
not
on now,
looking at an
we're on the
object in
height of the sun.
Euclidean
That's
no
space
you're
sun.
taking it
radiating
away.
light downward. That's not what you're
Arwen,
looking
I
at.
think you need to sit this one out, Arwen.
So yes, B-ball. Yes, you form triangles doing that. Yes.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, you
No,
could get
no,
but forming a
that's your
triangle, that
assumption.
doesn't give you a height.
Yeah, but
This
That
is
doesn't give you a
an
height.
argument.
Where are you getting your height from?
That doesn't wait, Brian.
Forming a
That
triangle
doesn't give us
you
a height.
No.
We're all missing out on something. Can
So
I
I wouldn't be able to if I knew the distance between me and
ND
another
light.
observer.
Let's
and I
let
had
DMOC get
an
in here
angle, I
as
wouldn't be able
B-Ball
to.
asked the
Oh
same
my God.
question in a different way for the 50th time. Go ahead, DMOC.
Yeah, because you guys are not. Whatever.
Okay,
No, we get what you're saying. You don't understand what we're saying as usual. Go ahead, DMOC.
Well, he claims he can
Yeah, I have
triangulate things
DMOC
just by
muted.
looking at
This
them,
is
right?
irrelevant.
And just by knowing one position or two positions, right? So why hasn't he done this with a new object that he's never seen before? Somebody simply just say, "Hey, B-ball, look out your window. There's the person in the distance." I've said this 100 times, and then he gives the equation. It gives the distance, the height of the object, how far away it is. Of course, the distance, how big that object is, how tall it is. You know what I mean? A couple things. That's what and you can compare it because it's down here on Earth. And once
You know
do
why,
that,
DMOC?
then we might be able to.
I'll tell you why he won't do it. This is what will happen. We pick something out far enough, 10 miles. His calculation won't match what he sees, and then he'll just say, that's because there's Earth curvature. That's all that will happen.
Or the sphere.
Can I just state that if I take an angle to the sun at just to say 2 o'clock in the day, and I take another angle to the sun at 6 o'clock in the day, right? How do I determine which one of those heights are correct?
You would do it at the same time, multiple observations at the same time.
But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's
It
different
does.
angles for you. It doesn't because you can see different angles. So let's say you're seeing the sun at 35 degrees and I'm seeing it at 65 degrees. What height is that then? Because it's 65 for me, 35 for you.
We would have a distance to each other. We would have a distance to each other. So now we have 2 angles. So we have 2 angles. We have one side. Now we can determine the rest of the variables as well as determining the height.
Okay, let's use that then. 35 for you, 65 for me. What height is the sun? Let's use that.
Right, then I would have to know your location or general location. You'd have to know
Yeah,
mine, and then we
that has
find.
to do with anything.
Oh no, go ahead.
We'd have to know the distance.
It's an angle.
What if the sun?
Yeah, I know. You have 2 angles, and you have one side being the distance between each other. Knowing those 3 variables, we can figure out all the other variables of this triangle that's formed, and now we can figure out the height.
Okay then, right? How many? Let's just say we worked it out that the sun was it's 65 for me, 35 for you. So how do you work out the height out of that?
I just said we.
No, you can't. No, because you have to. You have to give.
I can't.
60 miles. No, because what you're
I'm
going
not going to answer your questions, man.
No, because you're telling me you can get a height. You can't get a height out of that.
Yeah, I know. I can't explain it if you ask me the question and while I'm trying to explain it, you interrupt me. It would be very difficult for me to explain it then, right?
It should be done on 1 mile, 2 miles.
He keeps asking the same question, so I'll keep giving the same answer.
Right, but it should be done live.
Your answer is not a
want to hear-
solution to the question, though.
Yeah, it's not.
It is.
I want to hear how he's doing this.
No, it's
Right.
not.
If at the same exact time we both take observations, we're both going to have an angular measurement, and that's 2 angles of a triangle. Now what we can determine is our distance from me to you. Now that's one side of a triangle. Knowing those 3 variables, we can determine the 3rd angle. We can determine the other 2 sides. Knowing these dimensions of the triangle, we can then establish what the height from that object is, because it's a triangle, and we can calculate that line.
Okay. Will this height be determined in degrees?
So refraction won't matter because you're doing.
Please, everyone, please. Right, Biojoule. Will this height be determined in degrees?
No, you don't have to do it in degrees. You could do it in any
No,
metric
hang on.
that you'd like.
So you won't be using degrees then. So 65 degrees, 35 degrees won't be used.
No. It'll be used to determine the other variables of that triangle.
So
And then
how do
because
you
we know all
determine
the
the height
variables
then?
of the triangle, we could determine the height.
That's
So how do you
disingenuous.
determine the height then if you're not using degrees, if you're using an angle? 2 angles, how are you not using degrees?
You're using the degrees to find the other measurements of this
Okay,
triangle.
so
now that we know all the measurements of the triangle,
Okay, 1 second, please, everyone just leave me and boy, Jules. Okay,
here, let me
so
just
you're
find the
not
basic
either,
equation
are
of
we
finding
or
the
are we
height
not
of a
using
triangle.
degrees?
Ready?
Are we or are we not using degrees to find the height?
That'll be part of the process.
Right, so how do you determine the final height then, if you're not using degrees?
Are you not keeping up?
I am keeping up. You're trying to avoid answering the question.
No,
Because you're going to
I'm just going to answer the same exact way,
particular
Brian.
distance to a degree, aren't you?
Brian, I'm just going to answer the same way. Once we have 2
Are you
angles on
going
one
to
side,
assign
we
an
can figure
elevated
out the
distance?
third angle, and
Are
we
you
can
going
figure
to
out the other
assign?
2 sides. Now that we know all 3 sides of the triangle, we can
Please
determine
leave
the
me
height.
and boys, you'll go at this. Are you going to assign a vertical height?
I'm just going
Are
to
you
answer
going
the
to
same
assign a
exact way,
vertical height
Brian.
to a degree? Are you going to assign a vertical height to a degree?
Brian, I'm just going to explain
Are
it the
you
same way.
going to assign a vertical height to a degree? Yes or
Okay,
no?
if you're going to ask the same question, I'll answer the same way. Knowing 2 degrees in one side, we could determine the third angle, and we can also determine the other 2 sides. Knowing all 3 sides of a triangle, we can determine the height.
Guys,
right now,
Brian.
I'm just going to answer the same way, man.
Brian, man.
He
come
won't
on.
answer it, Brandon, because
I
he's
know
the
it's enough. It's no one can hear. He's not going to answer it. If you want to make your final point, Brian, go ahead.
He's been trying to answer it, but Brian keeps going on and on and on.
And he keeps asking the same question, even though I've been given the same exact
Because
answer.
it's a yes or no answer.
Brandon, what he's going to do.
He said
What
how.
he's
He
going
said
to
how
do.
are you going to do it?
I'll
What
give you a
he's
chance to
going
make
to
your
do-
final statement on this point. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Brandon. What he's going to do is assign a particular vertical distance to a degree. Right? Degrees are angular. The only way you can use a degree, right, an angle to get a distance is horizontally. You can't use it vertically. You can only get an angular measurement vertically, not an actual measurement.
Are you ready for
Right?
this?
He's going to assign a particular vertical height per degree. That's what he's going to do. That's why people like him come up with a 4,000-mile high sun over a flat plain.
Here, let's do this
Because
very
it's
calmly.
bullshit. That's
We'll
why.
do this very
And I
calmly.
know
all
you
right,
can't do it. You know you
All right,
can't do it.
Brian.
Brandon, sorry. I won't be
Are
able
you
to.
done? Yep. Okay.
We'll do it very
We'll
calmly.
make your final statement. Don't ask Brian any questions during this.
Okay, that seems fair. Brian, if you know 2 angles in one side of a triangle, you can then come up with the third angle and the other 2 sides. Now we have all 3 angles, all 3 sides. Because we have all 3 sides, we can find the area of this triangle. Knowing the area, we can find the height of this triangle. It's very fucking simple.
Have you done that with?
Could I have a second to respond to Nigel's statement?
Hold on a second. 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 4 mile, 5 mile. Do you have the observations of the people who got one chance to do the calculation? You put the object out. Nobody knows what it is. You got to say the height, the distance, the weight, all the makeup of the object and everything. You know what I mean? And it's on Earth, and you can just verify it. You can do it from different distances. You don't have to do it from 80 miles. You can do it from 1. You can do it 2, 3. You get one chance, and if you're right with your calculations each time, you can do it a couple different times. It doesn't take money to do that. You know what I mean?
And then me and Demont could do it, for instance, as well.
Different. That's different.
Right, can I just respond to Vigil there? I agree with everything he said mathematically. The issue I have with what he said is that he's talking about triangles. And to take your triangle and your first angle, you have to have a position for these things to work. And that would be that the surface you're taking your first primary angle from, and all your angles, is a straight line. And all the Bible claims, with all of his correct mathematics, what he fails to state in all of his correct mathematics, in all of his statements, that one of the sides of his triangle is curved, which destroys all of his mathematics.
No. So what you do?
Therefore, making any claim he relates
it's
it
legitimate,
to
yeah.
irrelevant, because unless he can demonstrate a triangle with 2 straight sides and 1 curvy one based on R, which he would also need to prove to describe the rate of curve, then his claims are false. They're clearly illogical.
Right.
then
So I'll
therefore-
respond now. You're 100% correct. If we
Thank
if we
you.
make these assumptions
I'll
of,
leave it there
of
then.
three
That's
straight
brilliant.
if we
Let
make
him
these assumptions
respond.
of 3 straight lines, we're going to have particular calculations for 2 observers. The reason why you want 3, 4, 5, 6 observers and making these calculations is because what I would predict is that if you assume 3 straight lines, completely straight, and this triangle forming here we go. No more interruptions. More interruptions.
No,
Every
that's a
goddamn time.
secondary distraction point, dude.
Just let him finish.
It's not, man.
You're
Here, how about
now
you
arguing
overtalk me? How about you
you're
overtalk
now
me because I'm
arguing-
making such
Hold on,
bad
Bio.
points?
You're now arguing
My
about
points are
me
so
trying-
bad that you have to interrupt me.
Yeah,
Hold on, Bio,
no,
hold on,
because
Adam.
you're bullshitting
Adam,
people.
let him finish.
You're disingenuous.
Please.
Okay, be disingenuous, and then I'll come back to it. Off you
We
go.
know what he's doing. We
Lie
know
to
what he's doing.
people
Just let him
first,
finish,
and then I'll
so it
do
doesn't go into a shit show.
Waste the people's time, but yeah, off you go.
Are you done? Fucking beautiful. So what my prediction is that if you have 5, 6 observers, a bunch of observers at the same time, make these angular measurements, what we're going to find is that when we assume 3 straight lines and 180-degree triangles, that they are not going to line up with each other. We will be able to calculate, we will be able to get values, but they will not line up with each other. Once we make the assumption, let's call it an assumption, that we have to curve one of these lines, then that's when we would see these measurements line up properly. That's my prediction.
Your first measurement, not measurement 2, 3, 4, 5, that you're then going to correlate and draw extrapolations from, is based on a triangle. As I said to you, show me a triangle with 2 straight sides and 1 curved side based on R, on assumption of R, before you can move forwards and then take measurements 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with triangles which all have
Who's saying the
2
who's
straight
saying the base
sides
of the
and
triangle is
1
curved?
curved side based on R that you're then going to extrapolate your presupposition from? Right? Show me the triangle and how it's valid, 2 straight sides and 1 bendy one, and then we can
Who's
move
saying the
forwards
base
from
of
that
the
point,
triangle is
because the
curved?
rest of it
Shut up,
after that
people.
is absolute nonsense. And
No,
not worth
I think
dealing with.
you don't want to
Until
do
you
this
can
because it's a
show
very effective
triangle
way of
with 2
determining the
straight
shape of the Earth.
sides and 1 bendy one.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
think we've done that, but you don't agree with the evidence. But this is another methodology.
No,
in
you
which
haven't
we can
shown
test
the evidence.
whether
It's
straight
not.
or curved.
It's
another
not. I don't
methodology.
agree with the evidence. You've made a statement that that's true. You've not shown any evidence.
No, I said
to
I made a prediction.
demonstrate why your complete denial of geometry is somehow correct. I mean, it's false.
I'm not denying geometry. What I'm saying is I acknowledge geometry, and we can use geometry to help us determine the shape.
Geometry. You're denying geometry in your initial statement. That's
No,
why.
no, I didn't. I said we can use math, we can use geometry. And my prediction is the geometry that's correct. The geometry that's correct will not line up when we make particular assumptions.
Can I take a crack at this, Adam?
To do what? To be
Let me
in a actual position? Is that what you're claiming?
It's just so everyone else can understand is what I was saying. Meekin, someone said, who said that there was a curved line to the triangle? And obviously the point is that across the vertical line, yeah, if you're presupposing it's a sphere, okay, then obviously the line between the 2 observers on the ground is one that is curved.
Why are
Okay?
you saying that?
That would be the curved line. I'm saying it because someone asked it as a question. Who said that there was a curved line in the triangle? Who asserted that? Did Biojules say that? No, he didn't say that. That's what Adam's point is that he's actually completely forgot about the fact that that line would be a curved line if it's over a sphere. You can't have a curved line and 2 straight lines. No, you can't do that.
They could use
Wait,
the
here's-
board and they'd be
hold on. Biodual. So you said that you predicted your model predicts it after you try this straight trigonometry method that you're describing, using Euclidean geometry as you would write on a piece of paper and applying that to these optical first-person point of view measurements of the world, and you don't get the right answer. So then you add a value to it, and you assume that value is due to the curvature of the Earth. Correct? That's what you said?
That would be the prediction, and that would be the requirement for the math to check out. That's
My model predicts the same thing, though.
Yeah, but you can't articulate it.
Oh, I can actually. So
I know you could say I do predict a particular thing, but if you can't explain why you predict it, then it would be foolhardy.
If I can't explain, what do you mean?
Brandon?
If I can't explain why? Here's why. The drop that you see that you call due to Earth curvature is optical drop. And that happens at 8 inches per mile squared in the distance as objects go away from you. That lines up perfectly. So my model predicts what we see in reality just as well as yours does. Now, how are we going to make a determination between the two models, Bio?
Yeah, we do these observations above a level in which the refraction effect isn't.
No.
All
Doesn't
that
have anything
crazy.
to do with refraction.
You just said that they're optically dropping.
No,
right?
you just tried to
Would
pin
that
it
not
on
be due to
refraction. I didn't
refraction?
say anything about refraction. I said optical drop. I didn't say refraction.
Are you just saying that it's doing a thing because it's doing a thing, or are you attributing it to refraction? Because that's what I would assume you're attributing.
No, I'm not attributing it to anything. I'm making an
No, I get it.
observation
So
and
you're
I'm saying
saying it
here it
just to
is.
say it. Sure.
I'm saying it's due to optics. You're saying it's due to the shape of the ground. We both are predicting the same thing, which matches reality for the most part. And you're claiming you're right because why? How did we determine that it's due to curvature and not
Well,
optics?
I would present evidences. I would present evidences as to why the Earth is curving. And then
Well,
this would
that's
just
what
be a
we've been waiting
methodology
for
in
is
one way
evidence of
to-
Earth curve.
No, there's plenty of evidence. You just don't accept it. So now we're doing
No,
another
because
methodology.
you brought
in-
this up as evidence of Earth curve, I believe, didn't you?
No, I didn't bring this up. I brought this up as
So
a
what's the
methodology
evidence
to
of Earth
determine-
curve then?
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Eratosthenes
Even
wasn't brought
you
up
can't
as
resist.
evidence
Even you
that the
can't
Earth is
resist
a ball.
interrupting, huh? Even you can resist interrupting.
Was Eratosthenes brought up as evidence of the ball?
Yeah, I don't know,
Why
man.
should
I'm
you
afraid of
resist?
being
You're
interrupted.
just talking
Oh, there it is.
stupidity.
Okay.
It always
Yes
is.
or
It
no?
always is.
Was Eratosthenes brought up as
I don't know,
evidence
man.
of the ball?
I feel like
It was.
if I try to answer, I'll be interrupted. So I don't know if I should.
It's a yes or no question. You could have answered it 5
I
times
don't know,
by
man.
now.
I don't know, man. Maybe. You never know in here how far you're going to get in a sentence.
That's all right. My point's made, and
Right.
you will never concede even the most simple, obvious points to everyone.
No, because what you're doing is you're providing a bad faith explanation, because you just said it yourself that there's a property that I'm attributing, but I'm not attributing it to anything. It's just a thing that happens without cause, without explanation, and you're trying to skirt past that fact. Because if we say it's due to Earth curve, I'll give you evidences in which you don't accept, which is fine, but I will provide evidences of Earth curvature, and then that will be my basis of assuming that it's due to Earth curvature. But if you're going to say that these same values apply to you without attributing it to anything, that's dishonest, and I reject it at face value.
This very claim that you made that we're discussing, this very effect that we're witnessing that you're attributing to Earth curvature was brought up by you to support the idea that the Earth is a ball. The Eratosthenes is based on this same function of vision.
What?
So what are you going to bring up to support the Earth's a ball now, since you need to support your assumption in the evidence you brought up to support that the Earth's a ball?
Eratosthenes doesn't depend on the horizon at all. Sorry.
For fuck's sake.
I'd bring up a lot of things. I'd bring up celestial
And
balls,
I'm in bad
bring up
faith,
satellite
right?
pictures. I bring up Coriolis. I bring up a lot of things that you don't accept as
Coriolis.
evidence, but it's not.
He's trying to
not
pitch the
evidence.
claim now. He's trying to throw in words like Coriolis.
Just
hoping someone
scattergun.
will jump on that.
No. You
Yeah,
said
just
what
hoping
would you
someone
use
jump on
as
something
evidence to support my assumption that it's a globe?
We
And
can
I'm giving you,
dismantle
I'm
any
giving
one
you
of those.
topics
Can I say
for that.
something
We
to
don't have
Brandon
to explore
quickly?
those topics. What you asked, I answered.
We've dismantled every one of those topics one by one.
Says the janitor.
So you got
Brandon.
Okay, yeah,
Brandon,
that's
hold on.
not sure why you said
twofold.
that, but there you go, Bio. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, listen. He claimed, and I think Bebo before him claimed that they could measure a distance to the sun. And I asked how were they doing this, and he came up with angles. And I asked, how are you gaining a vertical height through an angle, right? And then he started coming up with two people in two different locations, right? And I said, grand. So I asked, what height are you giving to each degree of the angle? And he wouldn't give an answer. Then Adam came in and said, you're using triangles, right? Because I knew he was using triangles, but I was holding him on the claim of how is he getting a vertical height off of an angle, right? And Adam held him on that, and then he switched his claim to just a geometric prediction, right? And then you started questioning him, right, on how is what he's doing, how what he's doing any different than what we could do, and just make a different claim about it. And now he's on, no one's listening to me, I'm not getting a chance to talk. And then when that didn't work, he's thrown in words like Coriolis and things like that, hoping people will jump on that. He's looking to switch the subject around. Yeah, exactly. He didn't answer anything. He did. He answered nothing.
We were all here, Brian. Beautiful recap, though.
It was a good recap. And then at the end, to top it off, he felt the need to insult someone's profession. That's low, man.
I actually quit that job, so.
Yeah,
really
so he's not
insult
even a fucking
profession
janitor anymore, you asshole.
Yeah,
No,
Jeremy's a billionaire now.
currently not a pilot.
He's a Bitcoin millionaire.
You're going to make
No, I'm
a
not.
perfect technocrat biodual. A lot of you guys are. Just fall in line, get your boots on, take your orders from science who you can never question, let the government lead you down to a path to just fucking oblivion where nothing is real and all reality is up for grabs because we haven't established anything. We've just proclaimed it.
Alec, is this a good spot? Is B-Ball still here? Yeah, B-Ball. All right, well, carry on.
Yeah, B-Ball, you can go too.
B-Ball
Anyway.
or Biodual, he sounds like he's like a super fan of Ben Shapiro or like Ben Shapiro's little brother or something. He speaks. He's trying to get out as many words as he can. He doesn't care what they mean or whether they have any substance or whether he's actually right. He's just spitting words out of his face.
Pulls out the obfuscational scattergun on a regs.
But
That's why I got offended, guys. You know, it's, when I jump in, like, it's because I listen to somebody and they pull out words that have meanings and they use them in a way that is not just nonsensical, but in many ways often opposed to the meanings that they're trying to imply they have. And they just come in here with their big words trying to think that they can mug us off. And that might have been true 5-6 years ago, but all this, the days are done. We know your games and we know your appeals as we listened halfway through you to throw a bit of, I think somebody called it, your scattergun in desperation. You're done. Either bring something, but if not, stop wasting our time. That was
You can tell he doesn't know what he's talking about because he started to attribute what Brandon said to his own claim when Brandon wasn't even meaning what it was that he said. So he said optical drop, and then he started just straight away to try and, like, I don't know, appease the people that he's talking to, or to try to find some sort of commonality or some common ground. He goes, oh yeah, inserts refraction in there when it wasn't even anything to do with what he was saying originally. But he felt like, this would make an attaché point to what Brandon had just said. I don't really understand. It's like this, like, quantitative easing toward obfuscation, like as if it's going to work. Like, we know what you're doing.
Why is it? I got a question. Why is it that so many ballers are such fantastic sophists? Now, by fantastic, I mean probably would fool 90% of the population, not us. Because we've seen too much of it. Why are they all such good sophists?
Because that's all they have.
Yeah,
right.
Well said.
They have to counterbalance all the flat earthers turning from just curious, random, brave people into fully trained academics. Yeah? They have to deal with it somehow.
How do you demonstrate metaphysics? What I heard out of Biodual, he was dictating the math. He was dictating the math by definition.
You said that, yeah.
How do you demonstrate metaphysics? Convince somebody they don't understand the meaning of metaphysics would be the first point.
Well,
yeah, what's wrong with
metaphysics? First, you have
definition?
to do something, and then you can explain the metaphysics of it.
Yeah. If you have any opposition, you just ban them, right?
No, you can't. You can just bullshit around what you think the metaphysics are because there's this thing you don't understand that you stick in an alternative dimension. Don't be so arrogant. Anyone. The definition of metaphysics. Beyond the dimensions you perceive. The actions.
Abstract concepts, man. You cannot demonstrate abstract concepts. You can try, but you end up with an ad hoc explanation.
I wish you could eat them.
If you're going to use it as a foundation for a physics
feed
argument,
everybody.
yeah.
Here
Does
we
that mean
go,
we
though.
can't talk about it?
Here we go, Arwin. Arwin and Adam, you'll remember this, and Nathan's probably still got it on his channel, but there was a time where Rumpus went on the go saying exactly the same thing, probably about 4 years ago, where he was going, right, what we do is we take the first angle in reality on the telescope, and then we take the second angle in reality on the telescope, and then and the exact words were, we manipulate the angles. and that was just replayed over, you know, and Nathan would do it. And we manipulate the angles.
I
don't believe you.
Who cares what you believe, Chike?
Yeah, Chike, what are you on about?
You're a fucking liar.
Oh God, Chikey.
Be
more sophistry. More sophistry. Degrade.
I
deflect.
exposed him here on your channel, Brandon.
No, you did not, Chikey. Don't give me a dang, Chikey.
You had your own team come in and say, no, Chikey, he's right.
No, he did not put the camera where it is, but it doesn't matter.
Look at you stumbling.
That's the excuse
Look
now.
at you stumbling.
Kingo24. Sorry, it's been a while. Travis, all you have done is notice refraction and got it wrong. I have found these things on my bike. I'm calling them either round circles. That's fine. What are different about these either round circles that you'd like to discuss? I don't care what you call it. Are you pointing something out? Are you observing something? Is it a phenomena that you want to describe in a certain way? That's all it is. That's all ether band is a name for, is the phenomena that you see when you look over the Earth and what happens near the horizon. So get stuck on a name instead of trying to understand what he's saying. Fool.
Oh my.
Thanks for the super chat.
Own team said it to you, bro.
Hey,
No,
before
they
Paul
didn't.
talks, I've got
Everyone told the Gleam the camera was at 55.
You've made a new reality, Chike, because people were here
Sorry,
listening.
did somebody just ask for me?
No, I said before
Yeah, I
B-Ball
did.
talks, I've got a follow-up.
Yeah,
Oh,
do it.
I did. I was wondering if Jeremy was here. I was going to ask him something.
Hey, B-Ball, you still there, man? I thought I just
Go
heard
ahead,
him.
Bob.
Did he just talk?
So can I ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
B-Ball didn't. What the fuck?
B-Ball's not here. He's not here.
He's probably on a silent strike or something in solidarity with Bio.
he's taking a silence for the death of BioDuel. Okay. Anyway, Jeremy, have any of them explained to you? Because you keep bringing up this airplane thing and how they can't travel in a straight line, so they don't know what the straight line distance is. Have any of them explained to you where, like, what elevation off of Earth a straight line stops being a curved line and suddenly becomes an actual straight line?
Well, I mean, for this their straight line thing, I was willing to give them the curved straight line.
But they're like they seem to have spent a lot of time claiming that whenever you're measuring on Earth, that straight lines are actually curved.
Yeah, which
Just
I'm
you
willing.
don't
I was
realize.
willing to give
And
them
now,
for that.
whenever you get up high up into the air in an airplane, suddenly straight lines are straight lines. They're not curved anymore, even though the plane is allegedly following the curve of the
You're
Earth
wrong.
to stay
They still care.
where
They
it's
still
at.
care.
So,
You're
yeah,
wrong. Correct
Flying off into
yourself.
space or hitting the ground.
You're
or whatever.
wrong. Correct
So
yourself.
I'm just curious, at what height, what elevation does straight suddenly become not a curve and becomes actually straight?
No, they're saying it's always curved, but it doesn't matter if it's curved or straight. They don't.
Shout out Silent Zero. Flat Earth is winning indeed. Even though she pronounced it Flat Earth is whining. It is winning. Don't listen to that lady. Listen to Silent Zero. Thanks, Silent Zero.
Straight lines and aeroplanes. The thing that defines the straight line, the vector in which it travels, irrespective of its tilt angle, because that tilt angle plays a role in thrust. It's not the direction that the point of the plane is pointing isn't the vector it's traveling in. There's other combinations for that.
Yeah,
but
no.
the vector in which, let me finish. the vector in which it's traveling in is defined in its straight line by one thing, and that's the gyroscope that's set up rigidly before it takes off. So it understands what straight and level is, the gyroscope, the thing that spins in free space. And it's that defines the straight and level vector. Yeah, straight and level being in relation to the gyroscope, not any supposed curvature. Therefore, straight and level not being relevant to any altitude either.
Yeah, this was.
Adam,
Go ahead, Brian.
No, you go, Jeremy. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say this was just for something else about them knowing the distances, because they like to put a square on a map and say a diagonal point from 2 points through the square doesn't match for a flat surface, but it does for a curved surface. So in order to say that that's happening, you'd have to, how do we verify the distances between these 2 points, or between all these points, honestly?
Right, so that's the point there. When they're talking about what we're saying about what height does curvy, bendy, horizontal become actual straight, it's the point that the plane takes off and starts to define things based on the gyroscope. So when we're talking about a plane's vector of travel, it's defined by the gyroscope. The shape and curvature and orientation, more importantly, of which is fundamental to the behavior of a gyroscope, the orientation underneath, is irrelevant to how the straight line vector is described for the plane to follow and understand. And it's that, because it's defined by the gyroscope, that negates and disproves any supposed curvature occurring underneath it.
I mean,
that
have you
principle
ever heard of the
redefining that?
I obviously agree with you that the plane
have
is flying
you
in a
ever
straight line. Go ahead.
have you ever heard of a pendulous vein?
There we go.
A pendulous vein is a mechanism which is basically initiated by roll to stop topple of a gyroscope. So obviously, if you took a gyroscope and threw it across the room, it's not going to maintain its rigidity in space. Now, the extremities of a plane aren't as severe as me throwing the gyroscope across a room, but there are certain extremities that were noted with pilots who used gyroscopes, that if they performed certain functions, their gyroscope would lose its orientation from the point of takeoff, losing their level. Yeah. So the point of a pendulous vein, which is an air vented system,
hold on. That's not correct.
Equilibrate excessive movements, is got nothing to do. Often what a lot of silly people think is that a pendulous vein is a big weight hanging off the bottom of the gyroscope, which realigns it, which is a very naive and silly thing to pursue. But it's often the point that ballers bring up. You know, big pendulums hanging off. Because if you had big pendulums hanging off your gyroscope, you would not need
let him talk,
a
Jeremy.
gyroscope.
It proves that he doesn't want to have an intellectual
Hold
conversation.
on, let him go, Adam. Go ahead, Kool-Aid.
So that's not what a pendulous vein is. You very obviously know what it is and are attempting to straw man it. But if you look at it from the moment they take off, those pendulous veins are working. They're working before they take off. It's not like
I don't think you know what a pendulous. I don't think you know what a pendulous vein is.
No, absolutely, 100% correct. They are very, very accurate. So to support the gyroscope, right,
and
the technology,
the crazy maneuvers,
is able
the
to
crazy
support
maneuvers
with that.
The
So not
crazy
only
maneuvers.
does it prevent topple, you asking me to respond. I agreed with you.
The crazy
I agreed with you
maneuvers
with regards to
that
the
the planes were
accuracy
doing.
in which
maneuver.
it
Can you let
supports
Adam
Keep
talk?
talking, brother.
loser.
No, okay. You're right. You win. You called me a loser. You win.
Or you just keep
Stop
repeating the
talking
same
over
thing.
him, saying the same thing over and over again. We heard
Right, but the crazy maneuvers that it was
We
doing
heard you.
was flying straight and level. That was the crazy maneuver. Just flying straight and
Well,
level.
wait though. Have you ever used a Powerball as like it's something you can use for physical exercise, right? It's a gyroscope. Okay, have you ever used one?
No, I can't say I have.
Right. So until you've sort of held one in your hand and you understand the way that gyroscopes effectively, if out of rhythm, they become jank. So they jangle effectively, they clunk because it stops the precession of one of the orbital rings of the gyroscope, effectively stopping the timing. This can occur not just from angular change in the plane. This can also occur from change in velocity also, because there's still forces enacted upon parts of the gyroscope that are, let's say, more than what they were before. So that's what the pendulous vanes are there for. What Adam's saying is completely correct. People can try and say that, oh, he's chatting shit. No, he's not. He really isn't. So until you've used one and held one in your hand, change the angle while it's spinning at, let's say, 15,000, RPM, and then you move it and change the angle, and then there's jank. But then also you could just move it forward very quickly with your hand while keeping it exactly level and straight to where it was before, where it was spinning freely. You can also have jank. So to say that, this wouldn't cause a clunk in the gyroscope and the precession of the ring by, let's say, changing velocity going forward just while at a flat trajectory, you don't know what you're talking about. That can happen. So what are you on about? You're just talking about these crazy maneuvers and angular change of the plane itself, or change on its axis, either the X or Y axis, from pitch or roll, whatever it is, or even if it was, let's say, the flaps on the back for the yaw, right? The swinging out of the tail of the plane. This too can cause the clunk and the precession of the ring to be affected. That's what that there is to correct. So I don't know what you're talking about.
It's funny how we started this off with, have you guys ever heard of pendulous vanes?
Yeah, I mean, the pendulous vanes just return the gyroscope back to horizontal. That's all it does.
Exactly correct.
Based on what?
But that's the point.
Based on what they do. That's
we all
gravity.
understand.
Thank you.
We all understand.
Well, they do gravity.
Based on gravity. That's how pendulous vanes work.
I don't want to hear about your gravity. Stop trying to change the subject.
You mentioned pendulous vanes. They're gravity. Sorry.
No. You assert the vertical of the vertical of the actual gyroscope on ground. That's why you say it's already working, right?
You almost made it through that speech without stuttering. It's almost like that was a memorized speech that doesn't actually mean anything.
So can we start talk about the pendulous vanes again?
Wow.
Can we go back to the pendulous vanes?
Adam, pendulous vanes respond to gravity. That's why it keeps the upright.
Adam, gravity. Yeah. Adam, were you saying something about it?
I just think it's funny. We all know how pendulous vanes work. I gave a brief description. I even prefaced how they were introduced to help gyroscopic topple after gyroscopes were there.
You lied about how they were introduced.
They took a gyroscope and they used it flying in the first place as to keep them their level horizon before they went into World War One with the Red Baron, and they started to do these things. When they started to do these things, they realized that their gyros were no longer accurate. What they didn't notice was that when
these
flying
things he's talking about is flying.
come on, I'm
it has
about
nothing
to
to do with the
out.
Red Baron.
This is the point that destroys you cannot hear.
History
Can't
lesson.
hear it
You had to
because it
interrupt.
hurts, doesn't it?
No,
this is the point.
you're lying.
No, well, let me finish, and then you can rebut my lie, can't you?
Say the Red Baron's not real.
When you're ready, I'll finish the point.
Hey, Clean, you know what we are around here now.
Why? You're done, aren't you?
Okay.
You're done.
Adam, so for
after
instance,
flying 100 miles, right, when they were testing the gyro, right, the horizon stayed level. It's only when they put it under extreme duress, right, that the gyro no longer sat true. Now, over that 100 miles, it is under duress, and it should have altered itself, shouldn't it? But it didn't. It was only, and the only reason of pendulous vanes is for aeronautical reasons, to help stabilize that gyro when it's put under extreme stuff. It is not there to readjust for curvature, which is the basic claim you're putting in, which is laughable.
That's
And,
right.
and
That's
is
exactly what it does, because it responds to gravity.
and stands in the face of known
sudden
physics and
turns.
gyroscopic function. So
can I add an
please
example to
rebut
that, Adam?
that, not any of the other waffle you keep giving, because it's laughable, guys. This is a really old school debate, and you're not bringing nothing new.
You're just dismissing it. You're
really.
hand waving, dismissing it. The main factor.
No, I'm
in
laughing
pendulous
at
veins.
you with evidence.
You can laugh at me all you
I
want,
just
but
gave.
pendulous veins work for
This
gravity.
is 2 hour in technical
He needs to switch
presentation
the
about it.
debate to gravity because he's desperate.
Well, no, you brought pendulous veins up, not me.
Desperate. I didn't bring up. None of us brought up pendulous.
Somebody brought up
Ye
pendulous
brought up
veins. I tune
One
in
of
here.
ye
They're
brought
talking
up-
pendulous
One of
veins.
ye brought up pendulous veins.
Okay,
Pendulous veins.
What
I'll do is we'll go to the claim of gravity. So pendulous veins don't use air, is what you're saying.
Pendulous
Correct
veins
yourself.
respond to gravity.
Do pendulous veins use air?
Depends on if you have an air-powered gyro. Yes.
Yeah. So air then.
Well, if you have an air-powered gyro, yes.
So how come
If you don't
they
have,
needed
if
air?
you have an
How
electronic
come gravity
powered
didn't
gyro, they don't
correct
work in air.
before pendulous veins?
If you have
How
an
come gravity didn't? How come gravity didn't correct your gyroscope before pendulous veins? Yeah, it's over.
Well, that's what pendulous veins do. They correct the
Before
gyroscope,
pendulous
use
veins,
gravity.
before pendulous veins,
No.
how come
Yes.
gravity didn't correct the gyroscope?
Yes.
No,
How come
Yes.
gravity
pendulous
didn't?
veins were
Hold on,
only
hold on.
introduced later
Hey,
when
what do
it
you-
was
what do
required
pendulous
to
veins
maneuver
do?
quickly. That's
They
when
correct
they used it.
the gyroscope back
Pendulous
to
veins
horizontal.
correct the gyroscope according to gravity.
During quick maneuvering.
Yes, during quick maneuvering when
Maneuvering,
the
right? Not
gyroscope
when
spins.
stationary,
Hang
not
on,
when
hang on.
flying in its
He's
rear
after
path.
Stationary,
claiming. He's after
No,
claiming
not
pendulous
stationary.
veins
Yes,
working
They
off.
never
stationary
had
too.
it before.
He's claimed the pendulous veins work off of gravity.
That's
I've
correct.
asked him how come gravity, right? I've asked him, so they don't use air. He said, well, no, they do use air.
It
And I said, well,
depends
how come?
on if you have an air-powered
I
gyro.
asked, how come this gravity he's claiming didn't correct the gyroscope before pendulous veins?
How come they didn't have a correction before they made the correction? Why didn't they have the correction?
Well,
Why
your
did they
claim
use
is
the
that your
device
claim is
for
gravity is causing
decades?
it.
Why did they
So
use the device on
your
an
claim of
industrial
gravity
scale
would
for
have corrected
decades
the
without
gyroscope.
pendulous veins?
Alan, please.
Brian, right,
Yeah.
right.
They
Just
didn't
for a
use
sec,
gyros
guys.
for
I
decades
can't
in
say
there because they figured it out rather
Alan
quickly.
Keisha talk at the same time, Adam.
Look, we could
Sorry,
argue all
Alan.
day. I know I think Gleam's there now. I know for a fact Gleam can describe better than me, hence why I called for his help, how a pendulous vein works. And I think if we accept how a pendulous vein works, that would help how we could therefore argue either side. But if we can have a description and therefore accept how it works, that might validate one side or the other. But
it's a vacuum system.
Gleam's got pictures and all sorts of shit. I know.
Yeah.
Go on, bro.
If you have an air-powered, if you have a vacuum-powered gyroscope.
Gleam? What?
No, Gleam doesn't know shit. Gleam doesn't know shit about aviation.
So the man
Hey,
that's
that's
about
rich.
to show and
You don't know
demonstrate. Oh,
shit.
you're a muppet, dude. You see, you
Exactly.
offer a
Dude, I
branch,
still
right,
have
which
the
is like
manual
I was
PDF.
just about to say he was
pendulous
right about the gravity bit, but there is the aeronautical movements which obviously would knock it out. So it has to be encased in there. Now, as soon as you've got a tip where as soon as it leans one side, the air pressure would release the opposite side to counterbalance it.
Exactly, to stop the
And-
jank and yeah, exactly.
We cited all this last time to you, and even you, NASA. These are things in common public domain. I don't understand why you deny it.
Yeah, they could just say gravity represents the dirt. My thinking points to the dirt.
I think what Brian was trying to say is that, okay, so if it's extreme maneuver that the pendulous vein is what effectively it stops, any of the clunking in the gyroscope. I call it the clunking because obviously if you use a handheld gyroscope and you effectively aren't counteracting the opposites and equals, so your arm effectively acts as the pendulous vein. If you know what you're doing, if you end up feeling the motion of the gyroscope and the counteracting forces, this is why we use them, on guns like an M249 Bravo slung out the side of a helicopter, because it counteracts for the various, let's say it's a force, from the gas piston system of the gun pulling back or pointing up, or there's a slight to the right from, let's say, the ejection or whatever, right? So in order to keep it on target. But again, so what I feel like Brian was saying is that if you have very small angular change where it doesn't cause clunking in it, but still the vector of gravity below the plane has still changed, the same way as if you was to have done the same amounts of angular change, but in a much quicker fashion in the plane, right? Then again, it would still cause the gyroscope's precession to be affected, because if you're claiming that it is the gravitational force of the Earth that would cause the clunking of the gyroscope, it wouldn't matter how quickly that you changed an angle to cause the clunking or the precession of the ring, right? Effectively meaning that it's not the cause that is gravity, because like I said, you could have the same amount of angular change slowly and it would have the same effect of causing the clunk in the same way, because it's the gravitational vector that you're asserting as the cause of this effect on the precession, right? So the pendulous vein is effectively to cause the counteracting of that. That's what it's there for, right? So you can't assert that it's
the
gravity.
resultant force that,
Yeah.
that the effect applies on the mechanism that needs to be counteracted for, and that's what the vein.
I can't exactly put it into words very well.
No,
but-
you describe it best. The best if you describe that clunking. If you take a gyroscope in your hand and move it, it's that the clunking you feel is the gyroscope not being able to resist your overwhelming power to take it out of its free state, and that's
Exactly.
topple. Yeah, you got it
Yes.
spot on, bro.
But that's my point. So, like, I feel like what Brian was saying is, like I said, is if you have slow angular change, the precession of the gyroscope is not affected. So, if it's just, let's say, the yaw, right, on the back, right, of the wing, the wing's swinging out. But if you used to do this and let's say you change the vector of gravity, like I said, if you're asserting the pendulous veins are to stop the topple, right, and the clunking, then it wouldn't matter, would it, how slowly you change in angle. It would always cause the clunking if it's the vector of gravity that causes this. But that's not what we see in the field of aeronautics whatsoever.
What I said was his claim of gravity. For a start, he's asserting a force of gravity, which is 106 years out of date. But we'll look past that for this claim. What I said was, how come the gyroscope? Basically, my point is, how come it needs pendulous vanes as gravity, a force of gravity is real? Because before pendulous vanes, it was still a movable weight. So gravity should have been, right, fixing that problem, right, with the original gyroscope. So if gravity was a real thing, then we would never need pendulous vanes.
Now,
And he had no
that's
answer
what
for
I said,
that.
Brian. That's
Yeah.
what I said. You either didn't need to equip the aeroplane with a gyroscope, just pendulous vanes. If they're able to correct a gyroscope, they're the superior mechanism for determining down, clearly. But actually, it wasn't until you started to do trippy stuff and throwing your gyro out with clunking that there was a need to stabilize your gyroscope with pendulous vanes. Now, pendulous vanes, the baller, this is the same statement I made first off. Pendulous vanes, the baller will want you to believe are big dangly weights that hang off that recorrect it to down, if that's how it works. They aren't. Okay, they're based on the clunking on the whole device that opens up. Because of the clunking on the device, it opens up the vent and it allows air pressure to stabilize that clunking. Yeah,
Exactly.
And
That's
And
perfectly said.
It brings it back to what horizontal. The main thing with all this, all these arguments about the airplane, right, is this. It's very, very simple. Right? I know I spoke about the chord line the last night, but I can make it more simple. How do you violate 0 degrees horizontal? Because they have to be violating 0 degrees horizontal to do what they're claiming to do. Because when they start off flying, they will negate takeoff, because that would destroy the globe anyway. But we'll negate takeoff and we'll just go with cruising altitude. They're flying in a commercial airliner at cruising altitude with the nose 3 to 4 degrees above 0 degrees horizontal. They have to keep that nose 3 to 4 degrees above 0 degrees horizontal for several thousand miles. How do they violate that original 0 degrees horizontal? How do you create a new one?
the only way, Brian, is it's a bit like gas pressure without a container. Oh, it's gravity that pulls it back. The only way is to then say that magic gravity violates gyroscopic function, which we know is undeniably false.
But Adam,
If gravity would influence gyroscopes, then gyroscopes would have never been established as a tool for what it's being used, because it would never have shown to be remarkably stable in Euclidean space.
Exactly, Owen.
It would be constantly drifting, spinning ball. It would be like, woo, special. It would never have been used.
But all the gravity in the world, you could give it gravity 10 times over. How do you violate 0 degrees horizontal? That's the problem. You have to be able to violate 0 degrees. You have to be able to create a whole new 0 degrees horizontal every couple of minutes. You'd have no choice. So how do you violate what 0 degrees horizontal is? If you're flying and you have your nose of the airplane 3 to 4 degrees above, you're flying a Boeing 777, and your nose of the airplane is 3 to 4 degrees above 0 degrees horizontal. You have to leave in the airport 10 minutes ago. You're at cruising altitude. How do you then switch to a completely different 0 degrees horizontal? How do you go around the globe without violating 0 degrees? You can't. Throwing gravity at it is only an answer for someone who doesn't know any better. Gravity 10 times over wouldn't change anything.
What I mean by that, Brian, is the only way they can do it is to say that gyroscopic function as we know it isn't as we know it, and it adjusts for curvature. Yeah, and if the gyroscopic function denies what we know it does and does adjust for curvature, then the artificial horizon in a plane would kind of do that. I mean, actually, if you accepted that point, then the mathematics becomes so retarded that a plane wouldn't fly. but the fundamental point of rebuttal is, well, for them to accept that, then they have to deny the behavior of a gyroscope, that it holds rigidity in free space. And
right, so I just sent you guys a video, Arwin and Brian and you, Meekin, of something that's a new device that's gyroscopic, and it's not anything exactly special, but us guys can fathom exactly what's going on with that. It's thrown up into the air and it returns back to the hand, right? People obviously saying, oh, this destroys the laws of physics, but obviously it's a gyroscope with propellers inside of it made extremely lightweight, and obviously someone throws it up in the air, and the bias that you put into it, right, with the exact thing that this is the way gyroscopes work, and it returns back to the hand. Obviously try and plug in what they effectively say with gravity and how that would change the effects on that gyroscope. Like you said, it remains rigidity in free space, right? And it does so. You can clearly see so in this video. You click on the link and you go down. It's just a toy, but I found it the other day and it's extremely interesting what it is.
Did you know that the gyroscope you can throw
I was
higher?
saying you could do this for ages, and everyone's like, "No, you can't." And then fucking someone's brought it out, mate. I could have been a millionaire on that one.
Did you know that gyroscopic spin actually allows the trajectory to be higher and further when you throw it? The same
Yeah,
object?
that's what we see. That's exactly what we see. It goes up higher and further. Yeah.
Crack. Just on that product, I you know, I'm a chemist. I have a chemist shops, and these are one of the products I was offered. And being the geek that I am, I'm looking at it because they're marketed as like droney type things, but they're not. They're like spinning fans with a gyroscope inside of them. That's
Exactly.
the whole purpose of them. That's how they work, and they have this linear function, to use a buzzword.
Yeah.
But the whole way in which they work, and in which the fact that you can have this thing within a fan within it with a load of lights and the spinning weight within it, it's that reliability of gyroscopic function.
Exactly.
Comes back to the point. You've got to pretend at your level, you've got to deny gyroscopic function.
Exactly, and even what Arwen said is completely true, and we see that in that video as well. Really do check it out because it's actually quite interesting, because it's it's just a gyroscopic ball thrown up in the air, and yeah, it's very, very interesting. I was going to ask you, Adam, what time English hours is it that the Nathan Oakley show usually starts? Because he's asked for me to download G Plus and Google Meets and Skype. 2 p.m. right?
2 o'clock. Yeah, 2 p.m. UK.
Cheers.
I'd just like to say that I don't argue about, I don't get involved. I know about the gyroscopes, but I don't get involved in arguments about the gyroscopes. I work off of two things. The main thing is 0 degrees horizontal, because that's what has to be violated, and a whole new one has to be created over and over and over and over again for them to do what they say they do. And the chord line of the airplane's wings. Because the last time I mentioned the chord line of the airplane's wings, Paid NASA Shill showed a graph But he didn't read the graph right. He didn't research the graph. I did research the graph. And it showed a cambered wing that he said could still have 100% positive lift with the core, 100% positive lift with a -5 degrees pitch. But that's not correct. That's not correct. It can't. What it is that there will be still a certain amount of lift at about -2 degrees, because I researched it and looked into other forums. There will still be a certain amount of lift with the nose -2 degrees below 0 degrees horizontal, but it's losing lift. It doesn't have 100% positive lift, which is what I said that night. And it completely loses it at -5. So it doesn't have any positive lift. Whereas most other wings, they just lose all positive lift at 0. Right? They lose all positive lift at 0. Whereas the cambered wing can still hold a certain, with the way it's designed, a certain amount of positive lift, but not 100% positive lift. At 2 degrees, it might below 0. It might be 60-40 or something like in percentage, being positive and negative. But the point is that at 2 degrees below horizontal, and I even have Wolfie stating this, you're in a descent. So it's a completely pointless argument.
Right.
1 second, Adam, please. Just let me finish this part, man. Just to finish it off. The chord line of an airplane's wings has to stay above 0 degrees for the airplane to have 100% positive lift. It has to. That's why the nose of the airplane is always tilted up, right? Because of the chord lines. Go on, Adam.
Right. With that exact thing in mind, okay. So the thing that's going to define that, with respect to the ground and your starting point, is the gyroscope, and you fly from your starting point with maintaining your lift, everything based on that chord line that you described so well, and you fly in a straight line vector defined by the gyroscope. Over that 100 miles on a flat plane, no change. Yeah, you float like you maintain your altitude because the angle of attack and your speed keeps you at that altitude and keeps you going at that speed. On a ball, things change very differently, but even if we assumed we were able to go from A to B over that 100 miles without parameters changing over that, and we just measure from A to B, I'll let you state these numbers. The wing attack angle was whatever, but 100 miles later, that wing, it's 0.0 in miles. It's 0.014 degree per mile. So over 100 miles, that's 1.4 degrees. That the angle of attack defined by your straight line vector of your gyroscope, which physics dictates is true, would have been maintained, but the curvature of the Earth underneath would have changed by those 1.4 degrees. Therefore, your angle of attack will have changed by that. Yeah. What effect would that have effect on the aerodynamics, which is, to me, your point, what you're making? That would destroy how the plane flies.
Well, yeah, the whole point I make about the chord line is that the plane, it's not as if they can just fly with the nose above 0 degrees horizontal and they can change to below the 0 degrees horizontal if they feel like it. No, they have to. That's how the plane is designed. That's how it flies. That's how it was found out that it flies. Is that you have to have the chord line of the wing above 0 degrees horizontal to hold 100% positive lift. And that's the
imagine, right, Bri, at the start of the journey, the way they've calculated it for this plane, the angle of attack is 1.2 degrees, and they maintain that based on the gyroscope. After 100 miles, the angle changes by 1.4 degrees from the original position. Therefore, it's actually going to curve up, but imagine it was going down. It's at minus 0.2 degrees. Yeah. What would that do to the aerodynamics of the plane? Forget the intermediary journey. Suddenly change the conditions based on the gyroscope that has confirmed they've been maintained. What happens when you swap the direction of gravity in their world?
Well, you're gonna
Well,
in an alpha. You're gonna end up in an alpha maneuver, which is gonna present a larger surface area of the plane, which will. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Either way, it's either if the pitch of the nose is the angle of the nose is down or up. Regardless, it's going to affect the aerodynamics of the plane.
Altitude is where they want you to argue.
Stupid word salad you said so far, Adam. Go on, try it.
Yeah.
Try
Let me finish. Altitude. This will cover your next 10 minutes, pal. Altitude is where they want you to argue. Okay, can you maintain altitude? It's kind of irrelevant because our claim, of course, altitude is maintained with the straight line vector. The implications of being on a ball is with traveling in a straight line vector defined by a gyroscope. Yeah, so you know it's true. The reality is on the ball, down changes at a rate of 0.014 degree per mile. Exactly. So after, let's say, 100 miles, down has changed by 1.4 degrees. That is what the gyroscope denies in straight line flight of an aeroplane.
No, it doesn't, because if you watch professionals' video where Wolfie shows you that the gyro has no problem to correct itself this rate.
Like I said, so a gyroscope is
go to
affected
Wolfie's
by
channel and watch.
G and R.
I already had it.
Prove it.
You would have to hold the same altitude over a horizontal plane. The only changes in altitude that a plane will have, if you're flying across the equator line and across the tropics, you're going to have a change in altitude because you're dealing with a lot more convection. So things like that will change your altitude.
Altitude has to do with it.
Hang on,
talking about the gyro.
Hang on, Choiky. Right. The problem you have, right, is that a plane, a commercial airliner flying at 550 miles per hour, right, for 30 minutes, will have, on a globe out, will have a 9.2 mile drop below it. So how do you account for this drop and the curvature? You need thrust and pitch data to prove that. I asked Wolfie to produce that. He won't. I've asked other pilots to produce it. They won't, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because they're not flying over a curved surface. And it won't be produced.
You're correct. Sorry? It does not exist. You're correct. It actually does. Yeah. That data does not exist whatsoever.
Yeah, because the flying.
I asked the data that says it doesn't.
Why would we? What are you on about? Show us
why would Wolfie owe you anything? Why he needs to provide you with anything?
Because he's making a positive claim, and you're making a positive claim, and many pilots that we deal with in this arena make a positive claim.
Wolfie showed
making the claim.
He took the
gyro. He took the gyro out of balance, and he showed that he has no problem to correct itself at the rate that it's changing due to the airplane speed. Get it?
Yeah, no, Chucky.
I get it. Did you get what I said? The gyro has no problem correcting itself to gravity at the rate required from the airplane.
We just talked about that a minute ago. Chucky, we just
destroyed that a moment ago.
We just went through all that for 20 minutes there. You're too late to the party.
No, Adam claimed that it's too fast.
Give me a second.
How do you suddenly change? No, it's not sudden, and the gyro can do it.
Choiky.
And that was an old one.
To deal with the drop, there needs to be thrust data, right? Because you would have to constantly pull back on thrust to deal with the drop of a globe out. And then to deal with the curvature, you would have to have pitch data, right? To deal with the curvature. So the thrust data and pitch data for a plane flying over a globe out is non-existent. If it was existent, we would have got it 6 years ago. It doesn't exist. There's claims of what a plane does by people like Wolfie, but they can't support it.
What do they record on those black boxes?
Their flights. That's all they record. And whatever they take on the flight. They don't. What they
record there? Why are they looking for it like mad every crash?
Why is this such a secret? Why is this data that we're looking for? Why is the data I've requested such a secret? Why is it secret?
No, it's a secret. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't owe you shit.
It doesn't exist. I'm sorry. It doesn't exist. The data doesn't exist because they're not doing what they're saying they're doing.
because they don't giving me, it doesn't exist. Uh-huh.
Well,
Put your
Because
side by
they
side
must
and test them
use
against
what
each other.
I tell them.
It should be easy to get, shouldn't it?
Brian, you're arguing with a retard, mate. He just said to you,
I know.
What did they download on the black box? I don't know. Maybe they download the in-flight movies, right, and sell them on
Yeah,
on
sure.
the website.
Yeah.
What are you on
Sure, that's
about?
what
You
they do.
absolute
Yeah, you're
retard.
bright, Adam.
You
Now
just
you
supported your
on
argument
the
with what did they download on the black box, as if it
it
means
gets
anything.
better this
You're a
time.
muppet, mate.
Keep on this,
You're full of
keep on
shit,
this
pal.
way.
It's
Keep
hilarious.
saying
Listen.
stupider and stupider
Brian's a
things,
very
Adam.
generous man,
Go
and he
on.
What
humours you
is
a
on
lot
the
longer
black
than
That's
I.
what I
So you're
need you to
absolute
do.
bum.
To be
Yeah,
stupid.
Adam has patience with
Your
it.
argument is so weak. It's devoid of any real
So
substance.
people will
And it's
understand
things.
you're
It's
an
based on
idiot and
subterfuge
not
like
smart like you
what
try
did they
to
is on
download
the
on the
black
black
box,
box?
Jakey?
Okay, wait there. Let me just help you
Mate.
guys out.
What
Okay,
happened?
then
There was a
what is
Nathan
it that
show
they
today.
record on
Why
the
you
black
No,
ask?
box?
no,
Wait
didn't
there,
you? You
wait there,
just
wait
pulled it
there.
out of your ass. You
Nathan
literally pulled
thoughts.
the black box
Wait there,
out of your
since
ass. You didn't have a follow-up
exactly.
statement for that, did you?
Since Chike has asserted to us, what is it that is recorded on the black box? Okay, Chike, since you've asked us that, you must know, right? Because we could just tell you anything unless you know what's recorded on the black box. So you must know in order to cross-reference us on what we would think would be on it. So again, I would ask you to repeat what points of data are recorded on the black box. Go ahead, thank you. You got the floor.
Just about anything that can be recorded.
Oh, that's very
Anything
That's
that
an
can
answer.
be recorded to prove
The
a point?
precision of that.
You want us to open
As
Wikipedia page?
Adam
See
just
what's
said, you're a
recorded?
retard. You're an
I
idiot.
want to know the context
You're an
in
idiot.
relation to the argument.
Crank.
Yeah,
Crank.
related to the
I
argument.
think what,
Because
I think
So
what
why did you
Choiki is
bring it
saying.
up?
Yeah, I think what Choiki is saying is that all the secret information that no one's allowed to have is on the black box in
it's not
airplanes.
a secret information.
Yeah, the secret trust and pitch
No,
data.
it's the information that pilots don't want to give you just because you ask them. That's all.
Yeah.
What
But that's not the
information
responsibility.
don't they want to give us, Mike Jakey?
Wait there, the pilot doesn't own the black box
Address,
at all,
address,
Chikey. Wait there,
Adam,
Chikey.
Adam,
No, you didn't.
point
Chikey, the black.
exactly.
Wait there, you don't
Directly,
know
I
what you're
addressed
talking
it.
about. You
You've
don't know what
done
you're talking about.
anything but address what the
I
data
addressed
actually
his
is.
point. He said, "How come the gyro make up for it for the sudden drop? The drop is
What?
not sudden, and the gyro can make up for it, no problem."
Yeah, so he's back
Okay.
arguing about a gyro.
Go ahead
We
and
can't
watch
have an hour
Wolfie's
minute.
video. He did a video. Go
I
watch
think you know we need to go back on the angle.
Owen, doesn't the black box record? You know the Malaysia flight, right? That got disappeared over the Pacific. Doesn't the black box flight record all the satellite data that the people who were flying the plane couldn't get because they were lost?
Yes.
That's what the
Trilateration
black
and
box does,
triangulation.
isn't it? Because of the data
Yes.
that you can't get on the plane.
What?
From the satellites.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And Chike, we know you don't understand what you're talking about because you said it's what the
What he
pilot doesn't
just
want to give
said-
over. It's
what
the way
did he
that
just
the person that
say?
has access to the black box is not the
What?
pilot. For
What
one,
did he
idiot.
just say? I can't guess what's going in your mind because they fucked up.
Real quick, if anyone likes what they heard, you can come fuck with us on Brandon's Flat Earth server and Discord. Thank you.
Do you know what the argument was?
We
What's
do
the
this all
data
day.
that's supposed to support your argument. Do you still
Yeah,
remember?
there's no support there for his argument, Darwin. No support. He just drew a black box. You know, it's like gravity, black box, rotation. You know, it's just words. You know, words that are necessary just to stall or cause a misdirection or some nonsense. It never goes anywhere.
Well, it's definitely this direction because, like I said, if he's asking us for the pieces of data on the black box, right, and again to prove the data that doesn't exist, show us the data that proves the data that doesn't exist, and then also, again, we ask him what is it that the black box actually records. He doesn't know that, so how would he be able to cross-examine us on what we would know about the black box? And then he asserts as to what the pilot doesn't want to give over. It isn't always the pilot that would have access to the black box because he's not a data analysis person whatsoever. He's a pilot for one. He would understand some of it. It's the
this
person
data
that owns
doesn't
the
exist,
plane.
and I say
It's the
it
one that
does.
owns the plane.
End of
It's the
story.
person
End of
that
story.
owns the plane.
would
of
be able
story.
to
You
give
say
it to
this
an
data
analyst.
does not exist. I say it does.
What Choiki is saying is that we have to go to a landfill or some old scrapyard where they have airplanes and get the black box out of an airplane there, or some old black box, and somehow get the data off of that using a Commodore 64 computer.
And
You
the
know what I
black
mean?
box is owned by the government anyway. Not
Yeah, and if we're caught with the black box, we're going to go to jail forever. That's basically, it's all secret information, all this data that would prove it's a globe 6 years ago, but they can't come up with it.
Again, pull out the obfuscational scattergun, as you always do, Chike. Honestly, you come in like you're some form of
What
heavyweight
scattergun?
intellectual.
You guys began from being scared about angles and triangles, which are big words. Suddenly, triangles, angles, big words.
What? You're not understanding the context of what's actually being said at all, are you? You really are silly.
No, that's also came from Adam.
This
Big
has
words.
gone so
Big
sideways.
words.
It's unbelievable.
When you were
But-
talking about angles and triangles.
Guys, the only thing, information, right, you're going to get from a black box is how to get your ride on time. Yeah? Other than that, this guy's a muppet. Look where he's taking you to. What, my ride on time? You clown.
Baby. Well, that's why I went down that road with him for a little bit, because I just want to actually show what it is that he does every single time, and then other people in the room
Have
support
you,
him. There's no one here to
any
do
one
so,
of you
is there?
flew an airplane? Huh?
There's a point, but just show what little
you-
function, how they work in free space, how they define things, how physics works with that. And then this clown comes in.
You have no
yeah,
clue.
and you go, but the black box.
Gyroscope work.
I love Gleam's picture with the chicken, gyroscopic chicken head. I've done that with my chickens, Gleam. It does. It's true. Bonkers. Yeah, that's worthy of more comment than your input, Chikey, frankly. And you're a clown, mate. You don't help anyone. You certainly don't help the ball position.
No,
Because if I was in neutral, you'd be swaying so many people, wouldn't you, towards the flat. You're a clown, mate.
Probably not. Probably can't hear anything. I apologize. Looks like it's all crapped out on me. Oh, I see the microphone moving now. I think you might be able to hear me now.
Cannot be defeated. There is
Anyway,
no way to defeat
I'm going to
that.
close out the show.
I'd agree
Because
with that.
when you showed with, like, for anyone that doesn't know, Adam took an
Never mind. I think you
accelerometer
guys
onto a
can hear
flight,
Discord too.
and
Yes, hear
to keep
both?
it short, he took an accelerometer onto a commercial flight, and he showed that the direction of down never changed. Whereas if it was flying around a globe, the direction of down would have to change its orientation, and it never changed.
Get Bob there with his
get
get Bob's there with his gyro. Let's see if it doesn't change.
Oh, Chikey, it's Chikey.
What accelerometer?
Anyway, Brian,
your phone accelerometer.
it's quite interesting. What I actually showed on an hour flight was I recorded, and if anybody wants it, the accelerometer data with regards to the orientation of the plane from takeoff. Okay, and it showed a constant pitch angle, always above zero. Now it did fluctuate, as it always will on the flight, but at no point did the plane's nose reorientate with regards to any change of orientation due to the ground changing and
First
curving
you
away
say it's
underneath
fluctuate, and then you say it
it's
doesn't
there, it's
reorient
recorded,
itself.
it's been there for 3 years.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It's and it really hurts them because it absolutely destroys them. There's actual real empirical data there
degree per
from
mile.
an accelerometer that just it really
What do you
just
expect to
teabags,
see
doesn't it,
there?
Chikey? Hey, it's like double
0.014 degree per mile.
Just give me some numbers, Chikey, and then that'll make it all go away. The pain will stop. Give me some numbers.
No, it fluctuated, but it didn't change.
You point zero something or other.
You did.
Yeah.
Did you sum
How can
up
I
all the
frame this
fluctuations?
number in the smallest possible way How long did it take them to come up with that? Where they're like, well, we could do it in feet. No, it's still too big. And then they finally figured it out.
What's you talking about now?
You're
Like,
bullshit.
there's fluctuation versus a continued,
I asked Brandon a question.
Parabolic curve of the actual change.
I can't hear him where you talk.
You can't hear me?
Now
I said you're bullshit. You're 0.0014 whatever.
It's 1/69. Simple.
This is fucking minimization bullshit that you guys do. It really is.
That's all.
Whatever.
I actually
anyway,
like
I'm going to close the show out. Chaiki, you did a good job disrupting the end of the show. You did a good job disrupting the end of the show. I commend you, Chaiki. It was very comical, so I appreciate that. Yeah, we're still on YouTube right now. I'm closing it out on YouTube.
But this sounded like Nathan's show more than like your show, you know?
Yeah, they took over today. I was happy to have them come in and take over. It was good. I was listening. I felt like a listener.
We weren't trying to take over anything. There was people here speaking all the time that aren't normally on Nathan's, so I don't know why he's talking about.
I don't know. They any kind of insult or slight they can throw in there, they throw it in there. I don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
When you've been taken hard from behind for a good hour or so, how do you know who did it? Well, how do you describe it like Nathan's?
Yeah, you got a lot of juice up in there, Chaiki. Anyway, I'm going to close out the show. Thank you very much all for joining the panel. I really appreciate it. And I will keep recording after I close out YouTube. Be back on Monday. Maybe. Monday's a holiday here in the U.S. It's Labor Day. So going to be out, I don't know, on a boat or some shit. But we'll see you on probably Tuesday, unless I decide to do a show then. Anyway, thanks again. Anybody who didn't get to speak during the show very much that wants to say something, or if you're dying to say something you did get to say, feel
just
free
want to say
now.
like and subscribe and big up Brandon, the almighty boss. Seriously, he handled so many situations in here tonight. It was funny.
Yeah, thank you for the leeway, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for coming in,
Brandon.
guys. All right.
Thanks for
Thank you.
tolerating me.
Cool. I'm gonna close it up. All right. There we go. That was fun Friday night. And we'll be back next week. Good night, PJ. It looks like all's good with Arwen now. Good to see. Everybody has their moments. No big deal. Yeah, Gadget, hit me up if you want to buy that Commodore 64. I'll give you a special price. We have lost the technology to build Commodore 64s. Shit, that's pretty funny. But the best one was Eratosthenes, the Chinese Eratosthenes. That should be a cartoon, Ian. That would be fantastic, man. Somebody's got to make a Eratosthenes meme. Anders Ace, there was not enough fight tonight. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Nice to have the crew that usually hangs out at Nathan's come on by and kind of take over for a while. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Those in the US, enjoy the holiday. And thanks again for watching. Shout out to the mods, all that stuff. Bye, guys.